Yeah, Craver, yes.
Craver, how you doing?
I'm great, thanks. How are you?
Good. Well, welcome, and we've got the tax cards pulled up, your information on the screen here, so I'll turn it over to you. And then when you're finished, if we have any questions, we can chat about those. And then at the end of the day today, we will deliberate on each case and then notify you in writing in 2 to 3 weeks' time, so.
Well, that sounds great.
Sure.
I appreciate your giving me a few minutes today just to review the assessment for my property. I did prepare something which I think that you put in each of your folders, just some comparative
Yes, sir. Spreadsheet?
properties. Yeah.
Yes, sir. We
So
got
the
it here.
first one listed is my home at 532 Foxfield Lane. I did indicate in here my current assessed value, and the new assessment has my land at 1092. It's a 2-acre property. All the lots that are on my side of Foxfield Lane are 2-acre lots. Currently, 2 have been on the market for a while, actively, realtors advertising them. They're comparable size, waterfront, et cetera, and they're not selling. They're listed at 120 to 150. I'm not, my issue isn't with the land valuation at all. I just want to focus on the improvements value. Okay. So I did buy the land in 2020, bought it from bank for $74,000, but I agree 109 is probably fine. The assessed improvements, I did go with a builder spec house for the most part. My total improvements I put in was $330,000, and that was, I moved in July of 2021. And so the assessed improvements are basically $100,000 more than that. And so I just want to evaluate the other assessments of similar sized properties and their relative valuations in the new assessment. So the first property to look at would be 141 Hale Drive. It's on Lancaster Creek. It was built a lot earlier, 1940, as a custom home. It's assessed at $477,200, which is 10% higher than my assessment. Same number of bedrooms, has 2.5 baths instead of my 2 baths, but it's 2,388 square feet, so it's 18% larger. So an 18% larger house that was custom. Again, my house is builder grade, lower grade, but it is newer. They're assessed 10% higher for a home, 8% larger, but that was sold last month for $500,000. So that's the true value a buyer is willing to pay for it, including the land. Whereas the assessment is at $669,400 for that property. It was just sold for $500,000. The next property is 1296 Belmont Drive. It's on the western branch of the Cortoman, has a deep water dock, was built in 1975. It's assessed 56% lower, even though it has the same square footage, same bedrooms, baths, and it was builder grade. Mine's builder grade, and that just sold for $450,000 August of last year. So it says 56% lower than mine. Mulberry Creek Drive, a newer house, 2015 it was built. It's assessed 16% lower than mine. It's on Moratico Creek, slightly smaller lot. It was a custom-built home, 3 bedrooms, 3 baths, has a generator, has the 3 beds, 3 baths. They also have a guest cottage, 13% larger, and sold May of last year for $468,000. Assessed value 16% lower than mine. And then the last one is a 3-bedroom, 3-bath, 2,600 square foot home on Cottage Lane, which is 29% larger. Granted, it is a condo, so but it is waterfront with a dock. And sold a few weeks ago for $370,000, and it's assessed at $431,200. So $100,000 less than mine, but comparable square footage. Actually, 30% larger square footage, and beds and baths. So those are just my, points of comparison, only because it's really fresh what I spent to put it together, and then whatever the assessment is, I have to live with for however long it is, 3, 4 years, 5 years.
Sure,
until the next
sure.
one.
Who was your builder?
Mitchell Homes.
Gotcha.
I think you met my neighbor, Mike Moriarty, came before you, I think, last week. Since, his data's fresh, I didn't bother, pulling his in. His and my houses are pretty comparable in terms of the level of finish and size of the lot, dock, improvements, et cetera.
Gotcha, okay.
And our assessments were pretty close.
Does anybody have any questions, Mr. Graver?
So your house is built in 21.
Yeah, I put 2020. It was actually 21 is when I moved in. That's when I got the certificate of occupancy. I bought the land in March of 2020, right before COVID hit, and went ahead and started construction January 21, moved in end of July 21.
Well, it's been a common theme that most of the improvement values have jumped up and land has pretty much stayed where it is. So we've almost 98% of the cases we're hearing are all in the same realm. So we know we've got things to look at.
Sure, I understand.
And,
And I appreciate your time and consideration.
Well, thanks for putting together this list of comparable sales, because that's what we're going to do. We'll look at other things that have sold.
I wanted to give the most recent that I found.
I
out
appreciate
there.
that.
Yeah.
That helps us out tremendously.
And they're all in Lancaster County. So.
Yeah, that's great. You have any more questions? Neil?
Nope.
All right. Mr. Craver, thank you for your time.
All right, thank you.
Have a nice weekend, and
You
we'll
too.
have this mail out to you in the next 2 to 3 weeks' time. Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Hines? Yes, sir. How you doing today? Good. If you want to come on up to the podium when you're ready, we're ready for you. I guess what we'll do is we'll just start with one of the, you've got several parcels here.
Well, the main one is that one with the house on it.
Okay, so that's 723B, I believe, yes.
I have a few pages, which I got the copies, so everybody could have one of these.
Oh, great, okay.
It's a summary of things. This is a house that has never been completed, was started about 15 years ago. It was contracted to, and this is, I just got one copy of this.
Okay.
This is a number of supporting documents.
Gotcha.
Estimates I've gotten done.
Okay,
Have been sometime, I think, 2010, that first one is labeled. So
yes, sir. June of 2010,
It's been a while.
and this one was today, I guess, so.
Yeah, I just summarized a bunch of things. I did speak with Ryan Gordon,
Yep.
who's a local
Contractor.
contractor. Y'all probably at least recognize his name.
Sure.
I spoke to him. He gave me an estimate also on one of the pages you'll see there.
Okay,
Some time ago. He and Pete Thrift were relatively close together. There were a couple of differences. I think Mr. Thrift added some money for appliances, which I'm not sure Ryan factored that in. But it's been a mess. Originally, as you can see there, I had estimates close to 40,000 upwards to whatever Pete Thrift's 48, 49.
Yeah, I'd say 50,000 there.
Yeah, almost between 40 and 50,000.
Right.
When I spoke to Ryan, he said, and I've had other people tell me the same thing, because this was so long ago, you can just about double estimates now because of labor, materials,
Everything's gone
and
up.
everything else. So,
Right.
So when you factor all that in, I mean, both of those estimates would be much higher. And then I have tried to do some work over those intervening years by hiring a helper, and I'm a past welding contractor, so I can do wood as well, but I'm not as young as I used to be, so trying to get up there and do it all myself has been practically impossible.
Sure.
I used to put an ad in the Rappahannock Record down here to try to hire a helper, and I would get a whole notebook paper full of names, people calling. The last 3 or 4 times I've run an ad, don't get a single call.
Yeah, shame.
Nobody wants to work, and
Yeah.
I said that to Ryan yesterday, and he said, "Oh, I know, it's the same thing."
Same thing with
You can't-
contractors,
You
yeah.
can't get anybody that wants to work, and particularly anybody that knows what they're doing for what you might think is a reasonable cost. So
Sure.
I know, I had a really good guy working with me at minimum wage, $7.25 a number of years ago, $7.25 an hour. Now, I mean, if you get anybody like that, it's at least 20. So almost triple
Yeah.
the cost just on the labor.
Crazy.
But as I went along doing things and looking into trying to complete this house in some fashion, I uncovered more and more things, that you find wrong as you go along. The original contractor who started this house, by the name of Ernie Sadler, used to be the building official here in this county, and he had 2 different companies. He was a Class A contractor under Assured Comfort LLC, and he lost that license, and he had already gotten a Class B license, which then he operated under that for a number of years. Not long ago, I checked with the contractor board in Richmond, and they said he no longer has that license either, so I don't know why, or whether he just decided to not do any more contracting. From what I understood, he left here, I guess, and went to Essex County.
Yes, sir.
So that's about all I know about him
Yeah.
right now. But he started the house and basically dragged on for close to 2 years from the original contract date. Never finished it, walked away, lost his license. He actually lost his license over a guy in Reedville that he was basically doing the same thing he was doing to me, where he would come and do a little bit, and then he wouldn't show up for a long time. And then he might show up again, do a little bit more, get another draw,
Right.
quote unquote. So, anyway, I'm in this deal way over my head here, and the assessment went up 81% this time on the house alone.
Right.
I wouldn't mind paying the county more taxes, but unfortunately, I'm retired and on Social Security, and so limited budget, and things are not as good as they used to be.
Sure.
But I have not tried to get any, a lot of these contractors, they don't want to, they put a lot of time into putting an estimate together. And then how realistic are you about trying to spend this money,
Right.
And it's like, well, I wish I could have finished it for the 40,000 or 45 back then.
Yeah.
And if I'd had the money, would have done it.
Right.
But I've even checked with the bank on trying to get a loan to finish it. Well, without an occupancy permit, the bank won't touch it. And then, of course, you got to have,
Is there no occupancy permit on the
Oh, no.
property now?
no, it's got just multiple problems. Actually, if you drive by and look at it from the road, it looks like, oh, it's almost finished, but inside is the can of worms.
So the note says it was destroyed by a fire in '04?
That was a prior house that was there.
Okay,
There was a prior house there, and then, yes, that house burned.
okay.
It was an old original modular, an early 70s modular that had aluminum wiring in it.
Gotcha, so that's gone.
Yeah, that's gone.
And what would you, if you were to guess on the total amount of this house completed, what would you give it? 25%, 50%, 75%? How much would you say is
Completion?
completed, finished out? I mean,
Well, based on...
just a rough idea.
Yeah, based on the sheet that I labeled things that the house needs, which I gave you a copy to distribute
Yes, sir.
among each one of you. If that's anywhere near accurate, at $166,000 to finish it, I would have to say the original cost of the modular to be delivered to the site was around $40,000 back then.
Gotcha.
And, I was a real estate appraiser for 30 years and worked in Fairfax County for about 11 or 12 of those years. And then I got into the hotel motel end of appraisal work and traveled around the country a lot. So I've done a lot of appraisal work myself. But trying to sell a partially completed house, nobody would touch it.
Right.
There's just too much risk involved.
Sure.
And same way with the bank.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So, I don't know where you would value this house. A lot of people, in the past, I remember people would say, well, what do you think my house or property or whatever's worth? It's like, until you do the research, you have no idea.
Right.
I haven't seen the comps that these guys use, but I'll bet you there aren't any homes, what you would say comparable to
Right.
this. I mean, it could be a pretty nice house when it's finished.
But you gotta stick a pile of money into it to get it to that point.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
And where you would find somebody to take that, I don't know. So as far as saying, on a percentage basis, I wouldn't even really render a guess on that,
Okay.
frankly. I would say, half, 50% or less.
That's what the previous tax card had was, they figured it was 50% complete, where this new tax card now says it's 65% complete.
So,
So that says that unless they know something that we don't know, that there's been 15% of work done more to the property since 19.
yeah, and I don't know how they ascertained that because I never talked to anybody. I did call the guy. I don't remember his name, but they left a card for me, and I called them to make sure, it's like, I can give you plenty of information on this
Sure.
house if you want it. But, let's see, I was gonna run a number. You said they put it at 65.
That's what they've got on the new assessment.
Right.
Because
So-
we look at the factor, the physical depreciation, and those numbers from the previous and see what's different there. Because obviously the improvement value is 64% higher, so.
Well, I did the numbers, the difference between 45,800 last year and for the prior years, taking it from that to 83,000, I got an increase of 81%.
Right.
Now, on the total property, including land and all,
Right.
it's 64%, but just the house alone.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, when I do a little bit of math on this, if you take the current assessment at 83,000, if they've got it at 65%, then they're estimating that the house finished would be 127,000. But I don't think 65, I don't think it's really 65%. And
You think it's probably closer to the 50, which it was before?
or even less, but I mean,
Thank you. Okay, well, that's where I was going, just trying to figure out from your
yeah,
sense.
yeah.
Why all of a sudden
And
was it?
it's just hard to say.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny how one house, I know there's a house way further up the road from me that's on the same route there, but it's a brick home and a lot of other things, and it sold for a couple $100,000 or something, which kind of astounded me, really, but it is what it is. I mean,
Right,
you
if
know,
everything was fixed and, yeah.
But, you know, you take a cute little home that's brick and got a gazebo in the backyard and fenced in and landscaped beautifully and so forth, you know, some people would just, if they fall in love with it, they'll pay it.
Sure,
Um,
sure. Does anybody up here have any questions for Mr. Hines? Mr. Hines, is this information you provided, the estimates, is that for us? Or is that your only copy? Give me his back.
I've got a copy, if y'all want to keep that, if you would like to keep that to view.
You've got another set of
I
this?
do have another.
If you don't
set.
mind, can we?
Yes, indeed.
Because
Yes,
I think that'll help us with
Yeah.
our decision making
Okay.
today.
Yeah.
Very helpful.
Now, I didn't have 5 copies of each one of those made because.
That's okay, just one's fine.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's what I thought.
and this new sheet you've done is very helpful too, because.
Well, it's kind of a summary, and based on talking to Ryan Gordon, he said, he just finished building the house for himself.
Mm-hmm.
And he said nowadays, believe it or not, you can estimate about $250 to $300 a square foot. And it hadn't been too many years ago, those same estimates were in the 125 to
Oh, sure,
150.
yeah, yeah,
So half.
yeah,
And he said, in his opinion, half would be, or double. In other words, his estimate
it
was
was double now.
14 years ago, you would have to at least double that.
Right,
Maybe more, you know, he'd have to look at it again.
sure, I get it, I get it.
As I say, I have tried to do some work, but I think I uncovered more things that needed doing than I actually got done, unfortunately.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, I appreciate y'all's.
Yes, sir, thank you, and thanks for your information. And again, we will send you our decision in the mail within 2 to 3 weeks' time.
Okay.
But once the final hearing is done today, we're going back through each individual case by case and looking at numbers and seeing what we
I
can
think, I don't know if my
make heads or tails.
phone number is on there anywhere.
I guess that's the correct mailing.
I'll take it down.
I'll give you my card. And I'm still carrying a card as a.
Gotcha, buddy,
real estate
thank you.
appraiser, but I'm no longer licensed.
Gotcha.
I was certified general, so I could do commercial and
Oh,
no
good.
limit, but I couldn't really get any work, so I just let it go.
Let it go, yeah.
The local banks have their own guys, and the one guy I was working with doing a lot of work, he was actually in Texas and did a lot of hotel stuff, so.
Oh, wow.
But it was interesting traveling to go to these different properties, but he retired and sold his business, and I retired simultaneously.
There you go. Good
Y'all
for
have a good
you.
weekend.
Well, thank you for coming in. Yes, sir.
Thank you. I don't know if anybody else wants my card, or,
I can share the information with them. Yeah.
give each one of y'all.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
And even last time we did Board of Equalization, correct? For the same kind of.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
Mhm.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
That's what you're doing now, right?
Ma'am?
You work at this now?
No, I'm retired
From all of that?
from all of it, yes.
Okay. Good health.
Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
All right, bye-bye.
Ms. Arthos, how you doing? We're doing fine, thank you.
How's it going?
I will turn the mic over to you, and what we'll do is, we've got the information you provided the county. We've got the information behind us, the tax card, so I'll let you give your presentation, then we'll ask any questions we may have.
Okay, so I just wanted to follow up because I did come to speak with the assessment gentleman
Okay,
in the original.
appeal?
Original appeal, and the original assessment, the original amount that he had raised it to was to $293. I don't know if you have that. That was the original notification I got. It's not dated, but, oh yeah, no, it was sent out November 17th. He had 293 there, 900. And I went to speak to him, I gave my presentation, I did provide backup materials at that time. He listened to me, but he didn't, I said, would you like to take my backup materials with you? And he said no, and then he came back with a higher assessment. So I guess part of my question is, you know, did he actually, I don't know, maybe he did. I don't know how he could consider what I said if he didn't take the materials with him. But I'll just repeat it went from 293,900, which was the date on November 17th, to like the 318. I forget exactly what the new thing was, and I neglected to bring that, but it went up, so. All right, so, the concerns I have are a couple concerns. It is an older home, and I discovered post-buying it, there are some structural issues, sort of not cosmetic issues, structural issues that weren't pointed out to me during my inspection that will cause some things to fix. One, there's actually two different electrical systems in the house. One of them is new and the other one isn't and needs to be replaced. And I got a quote, which is now a couple years old, for the replacement of that. And then there are some foundation repair issues that need to be made. The other major problem I'm having has to do with the condition of the neighboring properties. And I want to talk about that in a minute. But given these sort of repair issues and the condition of the neighboring properties, when you combine that with the current market conditions and the rise in interest rates, the value of the house, I think, is a little bit questionable, given those facts. And I provided some, other properties, and you can see that depending on the condition, the value can be quite a bit lower. So the structural issues, that's self-evident. I provided those quotes for you. The bigger problem from the point of view of selling it, from my perspective, has to do with the way that the neighbors are, literally on all three sides, are maintaining their property. On one side, and I provided a picture of this, you've got the school over there. And they just have way out of control bamboo, okay? Now, I have tried to, I hope I included a picture of that. Yeah, this is this picture here. I mean, and this is running adjacent to my property. Now, I've been clearing the bamboo on my property, but the fact that they're not controlling theirs at all, I can't put any shed or anything on that portion of the property where they're letting that grow out of control because the rhizomes are going underneath. The frustrating thing about that is I've spoken to them about it. Even though the state legislature allows localities to regulate bamboo growth, I've spoken with Irvington. Irvington's doing nothing about that. So I don't have any legal mechanism with respect to the school there. The other two neighbors are very nice people. I get along with them really well. One is a young couple who just doesn't have a lot of extra cash, and they're not doing a great job maintaining their property. The other people are super nice too, but sadly, they've got quite a bit of scrap metal on their property, including an old car and stuff, that, realistically, if you were a potential buyer, here's the car, and you're I've done a lot with my lawn, I've got organic green and all that, fixing it up, but you look on all three sides and you see the condition is pretty problematic for a potential buyer. It's not just one property, it's not just two properties, it's three properties. So that was my essential argument, that given the fact that there are some structural issues that really weren't pointed out to me when I originally purchased the property, and sort of the ongoing neighboring conditions, which honestly, I don't have any control over that. I mean, I don't have any problem with my neighbors personally, but realistically, they're not maintaining their property very well. The school is the most disappointing, frankly, because they do a very nice job maintaining their property that is visible to the public, but not what I have to deal with. So given that, I was a little disappointed that it's one thing not to make an adjustment, but to have the original assessment go up, I thought that was a bit much. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys have.
Do you have a copy of the 293? Assessment that was done?
No,
Do you have a copy, Martha, of the 293, the original one that
Yes.
you got?
I got the original one in November, and then I got another one in the mail where it went up to that one I put it somewhere. But it went up by it went over 300.
And you purchased the property July 2nd of '21 for $345?
That's correct.
Okay.
And again, interest rates have gone up since then, and
In terms of the so the old one, the improvements were 218, 900. And then in the new one, they're 243, 700. I don't know if we'd have any. Let's do it.
I think the bamboo issue is the
we've
issue,
got
honestly,
this
which bothers me the most, because,
It is on there? The 293 isn't, right?
yeah, 293 was not on anything.
Where's 293?
I don't know.
Because she came in to see him to try to get it reduced further, and then he put it up to the 318.7. Well, I don't think we'd have any information, Martha, on why he did that.
I guess if he had at least taken my materials with him, but he didn't even take them, so I don't know whether it was, I don't have any explanation for that. It's somewhat curious.
what she's gotten previously. We have any questions, Ms. Arthos?
No, I don't think so.
RJ? No. Ms. Arthos, thank you for your presentation and providing the information you did. We're going to deliberate this afternoon on these case-by-case, and we'll let you know by mail within 2 to 3 weeks' time of our decision.
Thanks. May I have that back, or?
Yes, ma'am. Sure.
Thank you. Did you have visibility on this before today or not?
Not that number. Our records indicate 2019 land value 70,000, improvement value 104.8 for a total of 174.8.
Okay, so you didn't see this intermediate one?
No, ma'am.
Okay. All right, well, thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank
Have a
you.
good weekend. Did y'all have that listed, Neil? Did you?
She was our buyer on that one, and that was, what was his name? Or their names, I don't know, they were building stuff in Hills Quarter. It was an interesting one. There'll be pictures and stuff. but Somebody like moved into it for a year and
Yeah.
then flipped it.
Huh.
My gosh, the guy, it'll
D'Onofrio?
come to me. No, there's a. Yeah, good talk.
For that building.
There's this weird like setup in Hills Quarter where there was a guy who was like building, and then a couple who moved into moved into this house. That guy was building in the house, and they were.
Wasn't Noel, was it? Noel from Northern Virginia?
Is that his name?
He had a couple homes he was building there.
I think so. But like these people were like fine. He was like building their house. The whole. It was,
All right. Misers? How are you all? Good. Come on up to the podium. And I think we've got, let's see, one of your properties pulled up here, 34,
actually-
yep.
both of
And
them.
35, okay.
Yes, sir.
Well, I will turn the mic over to you and looking forward to your presentation.
Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to be here this afternoon to speak with you. My name is Ramsey Miser. We do own 2 parcels in Lancaster, 127 Foster Lane and 228 Foster Lane. We purchased the property in March of 2019, so we're coming up on our 5-year anniversary of living in the community.
Congratulations.
So when this whole process kicked off, Jason Cowan briefed the board and said that property values were roughly 70%. Appraisals were roughly 70% of property value. And he talked about a ratio study. So roughly, they want to have the ratio between the assessed value and the market value equal 1. His conclusion was that property values had increased 30 to 60% over the course from 2019 to now, with roughly average 44% across the board. In 2019, the appraisal for our 2 properties was $933,800. When we received the initial 2024 appraisal, that had grown to $1,788,100, a 91% increase over the original last assessment. So we submitted an objection to that and spoke to the gentleman concerning our concerns, the revised proposal was decreased to, the revised appraisal was decreased down to $1,674,600. Still a 79% increase over our 2019 assessment. The real estate assessment forms that come from the county say, fair market value is the price that a seller is willing to accept and a buyer is willing to pay on the open market and in an arm's length transaction. When we bought the property in March of 2019, we paid $837,500. We would contest that that is the fair market value in 2019 of our property, not the assessed value of $933. Back to that ratio study of 1.0, our ratio was 1.11. So we were overappraised based upon the market value of the house, the property. Now, granted, one of the challenges we do have with our land is we own 2 parcels. And I can understand why when it comes to assessing, the assessor looks at both parcels and comes up with an assessment for both parcels. However, those 2 parcels really are one property. And the market value of the property was $837,500 in 2019. There's 1 well on the property, there's 1 dock on the property, and the property does not split out well to allow for multiple property owners across the entire site. So our argument would be that the 2024 assessment should have been based off of the fair market value, $837,500, not off of the original appraisal of $933,800. So going back to the 30 to 60% range with an average of 44%, we would also make the argument that we think that based upon where our property is located, that we should be on the lower end of that range. And here are my reasons why. First of all, a portion of our property is wetlands. I can provide a picture that shows that section of the land that's wet continuously. Secondly, we do have relatively low elevation on our property. We have water in the yard on a fairly regular basis. I can provide her a picture of that as well. And I'm sure that's not news to anyone here that water levels are rising, and we're seeing that more and more, and that does affect value. You know, property owners, I think, are much more sensitive to that when they're coming in to buy now, based upon what they read in the paper every day. And finally, properties on the west side of the Caratoman are not as valuable as properties on the east side of the river. We're farther away from amenities, whether it's grocery, whether it's retail, whether it's food. We're not complaining about this. We love the fact that we're on a quiet part of the county. But it does, when purchasers are looking for land, they want to be closer to amenities. That's why traditionally the values have been higher on the east side of the river. Finally, we looked at comps in the area, and the highest sales price that we could find of a similar property on our side of the river was $1.1 million, substantially less than our current appraisal of $1.6 million. So if you were to take the $837,500 market value of our home in 2019 and then use the ratios that Cowan discussed in front of the board, 30 to 44%, that provides a range of $1,088,000 to $1,206,000. We think that's a much more reasonable approximation for the value of our property based upon what we paid for it in 2019 and how it's grown over the course of the 5 years. I even looked, just to do a similar analysis to make sure that I was in the ballpark, I looked at Zillow's Home Value Index from 2019 to 2024 for Lancaster County. And obviously that ranged from year to year. 2021 and 2022, as everyone knows, huge spikes, 22% in 2021, 11% in 2022. I factored that into an analysis, and I can provide a copy. I brought it with me. Looking at the 837 and growing it by those percentages until 2024, and that came out to $1,236,000. So again, that number more in line with the 30 to 44% range based off of fair market value. We're willing to pay our fair share of real estate taxes, but we just think that as currently assessed, that number is not fair. And we would ask for your consideration to think about our property as property and not as parcels. I think that's part of what has caused the appraisal to be higher than market. Thank you.
Questions?
We've had a couple come up with this parcel issue, and I've done this before. That is an issue. And you've got separate parcels, there's a home site, and there is some value there, because conceivably you could sell it. It's something we're gonna ask the county about potentially, but you also may be able to get some relief if you were willing to resurvey it and combine it all into one property, then,
And that's one of the things we've talked about doing, is
Yeah.
combining the lots, because, obviously it's, having the two lots has created a bit of idiosyncrasy within the appraisal process.
And that's always gonna remain as long as you have two independent tax parcels.
Yes, sir.
They've gotta be valued independently.
Which I get.
Yeah.
And until we do that, each parcel needs to have its own appraisal.
Right.
We think that the current values of both, $1,147,000 for one and $527,000 for the other,
Yeah.
combined,
Sure.
is in excess of fair market value.
Gotcha.
are the properties in the flood zone? They're the house, like, do you pay flood insurance?
Yeah, we have flood insurance, yeah.
AE6.
86. And then since there are two separate parcels that we'll be looking at,
Just to, sorry, to give you an idea, that was the yard not that long ago.
Wow.
So, I mean, and a good real estate agent bringing a prospective purchaser out there will see the evidence of water being in the yard. So, I mean, it's real.
2 weeks ago, everybody had waterfront.
Yeah. But
Whether,
this happened,
whether you were in the town of Kilmarnock or you were
but
on
this
the water.
happens, for us, it was kind of like, wow, this is happening a little bit more than we thought it was going to be
Yeah,
happening.
For sure, yeah. And the home, that's on parcel 35?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah.
And then it says
parcel-
there's another like a building on
There's
the
a
other
small little
parcel?
cottage on this, you can see it to the right of your aerial there.
any,
2 bedrooms, 1 bath for that little cottage?
Yes, sir. And then 3 bedrooms in the house, the main house.
in terms of the smaller cottage, just to sort of start there, any comments on sort of the condition? Has that been,
It was built, I believe, in
Updated or-
1968, so
Yeah.
it's been around for a while. The previous sellers did reskin it, put a much more durable skin on that cottage. We did some improvements where we painted and, better window treatments and kind of made some upgrades for when people come to visit. But it's a almost 60-year-old little house. And the main house, 4,000 plus square feet, but it is only a 3-bedroom. When the people built the house, they decided to make the rooms large, but there's only 3 bedrooms in the house.
3 bedrooms, 2 full baths, 2 half baths?
I don't know how you'd qualify a Jack and Jill. So on the upstairs with the 2 bedrooms, it's a Jack and Jill bathroom. So there's separate toilets, but then they join into a shared tub and shower.
I got you.
So is that 2 full baths? Or I don't know how that's
I
classified.
think that'd be one and a,
We need to find that
I call
out.
it a one bath.
I'd call it 1 bath as well.
okay. Yeah.
Because we did find out the number of bathrooms does make a difference on the
Plumbing value.
plumbing value.
Up a little bit.
Although, isn't it as if when they calculate septic, they do it off bedrooms versus bathrooms?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Did the class go from an A to a B? Went from a GA to a GB? That's
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. But you see, the factor came down 150, 135 on the house.
Yep.
Normally, the factor's been going the other way.
Yeah.
Any big improvements since 19 on the main house?
Nothing.
See, therein lies our struggle is looking at the numbers, you would think without knowing the property that you all have done something, you know, that something's better than it was.
No, we were fortunate that the previous owners had built a house that didn't need anything. So, I mean, that was part of the
That's good.
reason why for us it was attractive to purchase,
Yeah.
because we didn't have to do anything.
Sure.
Yeah.
And usually this is one where the land value also, they're getting hit both on the land value and,
Home site. And the home site for
One,
34
It's
is different than
that's
next door. That's it. HSC 580 versus the HFC 547.
oh, land value jumps a lot on that other one.
right,
Yeah, double.
right.
It's a nice piece of land up there on the point.
Yeah, yours is, I'd say, one of the few we've seen where the land value's almost doubled on your lots.
Everything. I looked
mean,
at
no-
every number,
no-
I was like, wow, you know, it's like,
Yeah, I mean, no, we've seen plenty where the land is maybe up a tad bit,
Tiny bit.
but it's mostly improvements. Right, where yours is like, wait a minute,
Can you
you
see,
got two lots side by side and one is valued very much different than the other one.
He
Yeah.
definitely has diamonds on his property.
Yeah,
He's got
yeah,
to.
you've got diamonds and oil and buried gold, right?
Gold.
anyone I know can help me find it? Because I haven't found it so far. I found a lot of weeds, but,
Well, you don't want to tell anybody about it, then it might go up even higher. Oh, that's too funny.
and by the way, you can see from the area you have up, the wetlands on the outer side of the
Right,
the
all right here?
driveway, and all of that is wet,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
can you
So
zoom
really,
out?
this is the high ground right here for you, right?
Yes, sir.
That's pretty much it?
Yeah.
Is this the house right here?
did you ever? go
That's
to
the
this property?
cottage.
That's the
I
cottage, here's the
remember
house.
seeing
Yes,
it
sir.
in
Here's the
MLS.
cottage, okay. So all this right here is pretty much wet.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Can you zoom out, David? How's the water depth?
Oh, you got good water there.
Yeah. Let's, okay, there's Millenbeck Prong.
5 to 6.
Yeah,
Yep.
okay, that's what I was trying to figure out. So it's deep all the way out from there, right? Did see a sailboat, I think.
Yeah, where his pier is.
Is it a little shallow getting out of White House Creek, or?
Yeah, there's a pretty narrow
You can
channel
watch
for
the
us to get
channel.
out.
Yeah,
Right in here, isn't it? It's,
Yeah.
yeah.
yeah. Well, that's helpful to see just how much of it is
Yeah, definitely.
really unusable.
Right.
They've got it here as residual, but that could be, even go as wetlands or swampland, because you
Right.
can't do anything with it.
Right.
And it's actually part of the cottage parcel. If you
Right.
go back to the parcel map, it's actually, because the
So that's-
house parcel is 2 acres and the cottage parcel is 4 acres.
Right.
But a big chunk of it is that
Right.
wet area.
What would you guess, as far as, of the 4 acres, how much is roughly the wetlands? Just ballpark.
It's probably 40 to 45%. It's not quite half.
Okay. That's helpful. This is a new one. It's a curveball. Your name is Davis? Got something else to look at now, don't we?
Yeah.
Does anybody have any more questions? I think for us, it's gonna be taking this now and trying to say, okay, you know, similar properties, we need to be here, we don't need to be grossly different,
Right.
and try to make everything fair, but again, just one parcel and the next parcel over, 2 different values. And then from, now looking at the land, nearly half of it's unusable. So there's got to be some corrections made there.
I mean,
I mean,
that's,
it's just, and I think I mean, we have 10,500 roughly residences that he assessed, so impossible for them to get around, and look at every one of
I
them.
totally agree.
But that's why this board's here, because if you tried the assessor route and you weren't happy there, then we as a board come and go, okay, yeah, there's definitely, let's dive into this thing and figure out what's wrong and try to make it right, so.
Well, and we wanted the opportunity to speak to people who live here. You know, when we talked to him, he was sitting in Blacksburg. I mean, we both went to Tech, so the fact he was near Blacksburg was great from our perspective.
Yeah.
But as I tried to explain this side of the river versus the other side of the river and proximity to amenities, which just go into value. I mean,
Absolutely.
people pay for proximity to conveniences.
Absolutely, yeah.
You know, it wasn't registering, and that's why this opportunity, having the chance to be in front of you all has been
Well,
fantastic.
I
So thank
appreciate
for
you
that.
all coming before us and letting us know these
Mm-hmm.
things, because without this, I guess some taxpayers, they get their notice and just think it is what it is, but, you know, people are human, they make mistakes, and
Yeah. And again, we're willing to pay our fair share. We just, right now,
want
don't
to make
think-
sure it's fair and
Fair.
equitable. I totally
Yes,
get
sir.
it, totally get it.
Yeah.
Everybody good? Everybody good? Neil? Well, thank you all for coming in.
Thank you very much.
Hope you all stay dry.
Yeah,
It's
it
gonna
started
start raining
raining,
soon, but, this afternoon, we're gonna go case by case, and we're probably gonna work backwards here, so we'll probably start with y'all's. And then in 2 to 3 weeks' time, you'll get a letter from the county, and it'll be on both parcels, so you'll have 2 notices in the same mail, one for each parcel, on what we have done with respect to each parcel, so.
Very good. Thank you.
All right.
Have a nice weekend, everyone.
Thank you all, have a good
You too.
weekend.
Thanks.
Email them at the very end.
Yeah.
Walden.
Combine it and make one, you think, yeah.
That's what Neil thinks, and I think that makes sense too.
Yeah, do, 'cause you save money that way.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's
Well,
look-
I don't think I would.
You
I
would
don't know,
want,
I mean, they could put a dock out in front of their house if they wanted a second dock, if they wanted, I mean, there's a reason to keep them separated,
Yeah.
because you would never be able to re-separate them.
True.
It's not like you can just put them together for tax
can go
purposes, and
back and
then
separate 'em.
10 years later, be like, yeah, I've got 2 kids, I want to
can you go
split
back and
this property
separate
with.
at a later date?
You can on this parcel, because you got at least 200 feet of water frontage and 2 acres.
Yeah, that would be the question, could you redo it in the future?
Yeah.
A lot of
Well, if it
places
don't work,
you can't, here you
go
might
back
be
and
able
change.
to.
All right, so we've got one email request from Ron Worley.
He was gonna come, but he has to do that, he's gonna handle business, but if you read his letter, he was asking me to mention this, again, the same kind of thing, it's the improvements, he's mainly worried about, and he said there are a couple of corrections, there's only one fireplace and only 2 full bathrooms.
Oh, yeah.
Fireplace is only one. And,
Yeah.
2 baths instead of 4.
good lord,
I know.
They got 4.
okay,
Wow.
well, that's easy corrections there.
Sounds like he's fine with the land, just improvement.
Okay. All right, well, let's go ahead and. Land didn't change that much. Improvements. What did we do on improvements? Factor 155 to 160.
Are we Carter's Creek? Where are we?
Taylor's Creek,
Taylor's Creek, okay.
down Berkeley Forest,
Oh, yeah, yeah. Okay, got it.
Peak Road, right here.
Yep.
So it's right, yeah.
Who's,
Right here.
okay.
They paid $375 for the land back in '07.
Why is there an economic depreciation on this one?
Pretty hefty.
Yeah, that wasn't on the old
What's
tax
around
card.
there? Can't think of anything that's around there.
Yeah.
I can't think of any reason why you'd have economic depreciation on that either.
So if I'm gonna be a tiny bit shallow getting out of there, then there would be economic depreciation on everything on.
No, it's good water in there.
Pretty
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
That's-
And there's nothing around it like any
No, marinas.
marinas or gun ranges that would be typical for that.
Of course, there's no notes
No.
on why they suddenly threw that on there.
Makes me wonder if he came in and spoke with Jason. 5,400 square foot house built in 2018. It's an area where stuff is selling for $2 million.
Guest house is going.
Doesn't have the huge views.
Mm-mm.
There have not been any further improvements made to the property. We know.
No.
He does list two, on his application, he does list two properties that he might.
Doesn't go.
Yeah, do you want to get the two cards that he's
Yeah,
talking about?
might as well.
See if they've got economic depreciation.
Yeah.
G and F.
Guest house.
Here's G, here's F.
Yeah, so here's Ron's parcel. So these next two are the ones he wants us to look, consider.
Okay. Huh.
Where is that? Where is that?
Down Taylor's Creek.
Taylor's Creek area?
Yeah.
Okay. I'm sorry, you did just say that, didn't you?
That's all right, it's late.
I wasn't paying attention the first time.
You get RJ a donut.
I know it. Getting hyped up on sugar.
Need that sugar to balance out the fish and chips.
Yeah.
I wonder where the guest house, they said they had a guest house as well.
On this one?
Yeah. Down the bottom.
Yeah,
there's-
guest house, yeah.
They got a guest house. Is that, oh,
Nice, looks like quite the spread.
how many rooms is it? Does it have plumbing? No wonder you stayed home, whatever.
Big difference. F is a 2,800 square foot house. Factors are lower, 120, 135.
Pool.
Neither one of them have economic.
Neither one of them does?
Nope.
That's $200,000 with economic depreciation.
I know. Pretty darn hefty. Unless they're saying, you know, he's overbuilt for the neighborhood or something, but that would be more functional versus,
I think so too.
but I don't know since there's no darn notes on there, so.
What were the other two with factors, Neil?
120 and
35.
35.
I mean, from that, it's hard to say, but from that aerial, that looks like a pretty darn nice,
Yeah, it does. Nice spread.
and all those different roof lines.
Yep.
It almost looks like it could be rated as a M for mansion, but I guess not quite.
IGA.
All one floor?
Looks like it. Is it?
What's that?
No, it's 2-story.
Two-story?
Yeah.
What was depreciation on those other two now, G and F?
Let's see, G built in 93 is 20%. It's the big thing, the other thing with this was only built in 2018. And then F built in 88, 27%. Is it worth popping up the MLS and just taking a look at 1.5 to $2 million properties and see if it fits in anywhere on a fair market value?
For what, sold?
Yeah. You're definitely the expert in that price range compared to myself. It's not really my wheelhouse. I mean, it definitely strikes me as the type of property that it's hard between 1.5 and 2 to really pinpoint what makes one thing and then another. When was the last time you updated that picture, David?
That was Bank of Lancaster. That was when I got hired, that was 2003.
I think you're just getting better with age.
I don't know how to change it. I have to ask Katie to change it for me.
It's like, who's that kid?
Yeah. Where's the gray hair?
All rested looking. and
Yeah,
No
yeah.
stress.
That's right, Irvington doesn't really count.
That's the majority of them, except for Red Wing and
Taps
East Bay.
Creek at 1.6. That was that.
Williamsburg was an old house.
Red Wing Lane is, that one came up somewhere else, right? I mean,
Old Point's a huge house, but not much view.
Yeah.
No.
I'd almost say Red Wing is the closest to it because it's got a guest house and wide open views and,
In the pool.
yeah. That's sold for 1.9.
This one?
Yeah, that's sold for 1.9.
Well, so we sold this.
Right,
Everything was immaculate. But this house here,
crappy.
no, was just as nice as the house. It had
Really?
3 bedrooms, 2 bath, guest house. These garage doors you open up,
Nice.
and you got views.
Beautiful views.
That was incredible.
Yeah. Views from Miles, right?
There's the bay right there.
Yeah,
So they got views right out here. So I would say this parcel of land and the house is superior
To this one?
to this one, yeah.
gotcha.
So that's putting us as overvalued. Old factor was 155, so that's a relatively easy change to make, because we've been doing that a lot.
I think we need to take off this economic depreciation.
Now, it's gonna raise them up even more. But I'm baffled. There's no notes.
He'll be in Florida, they'll come to get us.
He'll come sue us.
Yeah.
But since it wasn't on the old one, are we supposed to assume that the assessor's right?
That's kind of would be my take on it. I don't know that I mean, I think we've seen some other ones where
Economic
there's,
appreciation?
With no field note,
We're supposed to assume they're right.
I would have to assume, yeah.
Because if we take it off, he's gonna say, why'd you take it off?
Yeah.
I don't, maybe he did talk to the
Especially
assessor.
when it
yeah.
jumps another 200.
I know.
I would leave it just because I don't know.
Can you call the guy? You can,
Um,
I don't know. Maybe they got some more scrap paper somewhere.
I mean,
So
that's.
going to a 155, that's 5%. On
I almost feel like it's hard to justify that as a, like, a rounding error or any sort of clerical typo or
Yeah.
something. I mean, I feel like it's a reason why
yeah.
Yeah.
you put 12%.
Yeah.
I just wish you had a note with it.
I know.
And not having it on any of the other properties, because you said that there's no reason for it in that area.
No.
No, the
there's
two
nothing
adjoining
wrong
parcels
with
don't have it, so I don't know.
I mean, what's on the big parcel on 54?
That was all just woods, right, from Google Maps?
Yeah, 17 acres, just woods.
Huh.
That's this whole parcel right here.
Goodness.
Well, do you all want to take the factor back to 155? And do we want to leave physical at 4, or we want to maybe bump that a little bit? 8, maybe?
155, it's a 155.
So looking at it from a fair market standpoint, it's hard. We don't know what's inside of the house, and that's
Yeah.
where these things are imperfect, but we're just kind of saying because of the view. Are we trying to hit a particular number on fair market value?
No, I just think we're trying to
Back it up, just not a particular number, just
make
back it off
it
of
make
2
more
million
sense
a
than what
bit.
it does currently.
Yeah. So another 4% would be another 66,000, right?
Yeah.
5% off on the factor would be roughly another 50,000, is that right? It would be coming down a bit over. The depreciation would come off of that number, so it wouldn't be.
I have to do the math. You okay with that?
155?
Yeah.
155?
One, you also said he only had 2 full baths instead of 4.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You good with those, Neil?
yep.
All right, so on Worley 2755H, number of baths needs to change from 4 to 2.
Okay.
Fireplace, only 1. And then factor from 160 to 155.
Okay.
And physical depreciation from 4 to 8.
8%.
Yes.
What about the flute? What they said too, does that go with the fireplace? A flute on it? What do you go with that?
Yeah, because if you have one fireplace,
Have 2 flutes?
you can only have 2 foods. I guess you have 2 fireplaces, so it might just be 1. Yeah?
Uh-huh.
What do you think, RJ, Neil? If you got 1 fireplace,
I think.
you shouldn't have more than 1 flue.
No.
He doesn't have a basement, so it's not like it's, I don't know.
I mean, I can see if he had 4 fireplaces, having 2 flues.
Right.
You know, 2 chimneys or something, but if he's got 1,
Yeah.
let's change that too, Crystal,
Okay.
from 2 flues to 1.
Okay.
And if that's in error, then he could take that with Beth. But you're right, Ella, I don't think, it doesn't make sense to have 2 flues for one fireplace. All right. Would y'all like to work backwards?
I don't
Sure.
care.
That'd
Whatever
be
you wanna
easier.
do.
Let's work backwards.
Okay.
So it was the last people, the misers. And y'all want to look at the,
I think on land value, you just gotta kinda
Oh, yeah.
peek around. I mean, that's a nice piece of land. You're right
Oh,
there
yeah.
looking
Very
out at the
nice.
Cortoma River, but you got the flood zone.
Right.
You got a point of land, that's a ton of water damage.
I'm kind of shocked that they're that low, but, you know.
Yeah, I mean, it seems, I think the old ones are low. I don't know that going all the way back to 120 for a point of land with,
But I mean, I was surprised the topography, that he gets that much flooding there, you know? Because,
gotcha, low from
yeah,
from that standpoint. Yeah, I mean, I don't know exactly what picture he was, but I think David looked it up, pulled up the 86.
Clubs got picked up.
Sweet.
Had to get that one.
Now you can breathe easy.
Yeah. Sorry, that was FedEx. They picked up my golf gloves.
Oh, are you gonna get him?
Yes, they're by the garage. Don't leave. Whew. What are we doing, the lot first or the house? What are y'all thinking?
well, I just,
Whatever
we
is,
gotta go back to the home site again, because one is one rate and the other is the other rate, so,
Well, I can see why the point of land is a higher rate, right? I mean, I think we saw that before, where if you have more shoreline, that was kind of part of the,
But you've only got 50% of that is usable, the rest of it's wetlands.
yeah, because 34 is the one that has the wet.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, this is all
34 has
wetlands
the
right here.
wetlands.
Yeah, and
Okay.
it gets wet down that hole too.
so.
Yeah, because that had the cottage on it,
Was it
okay.
Foxfield?
Foster.
Oh, Foster. Here we go.
All right,
so it's that, so it's the house and then it dog legs and has all that stuff on it.
Yeah,
That's a lot of shoreline.
Yeah.
Here's the house.
And then the cottage is in front of it,
But
sort of.
The cottage is this, this land and that.
Man, all that riprap, that's pretty wild. It's a lot of riprap.
So you gonna
240.
combine those two pieces?
But he's getting paid for, he's charged $40,000 for one
Yeah.
parcel.
And you're looking right out at the Coratoman, right?
You're at
Yeah.
White House Creek, and then,
Yeah.
yeah. The river after that, yep.
Yeah.
Dang, girl.
Is the piece, it'd be interesting to see how the piece of land there on the point where Yule's Prong comes out,
Uh-huh.
how that's valued. You got a point of land over there to the right, that would assume it would be valued less, but it'd be interesting to look at that.
Which one, Neil? These over here?
Yeah, maybe 33, 35 or 33. I bet you they're all the same.
What about
Oh.
52B? 52B would be a good one, because that's a point, but it's not that much land.
35 is 234.
1.2 acres.
And that's even lower than both these parcels.
What about that other point of land? I forgot what that was.
Which one, Jan?
52B?
Right here?
Yeah.
278 too.
And that's got a lot of water frontage.
That's got a house on it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if theirs is the most expensive around, then that would be a reason to,
Here's another one. 250 for all the land, 7 acres. Right down the point too.
I mean, I think the old value of 120 seems a little bit light. But if there's, but that seems like there's some justification. I don't know if we need to, do we need to pull those tax cards to know what designation to put on it? Or do we just change the land value to?
I think we changed the land value to, the 1 acre home site value is X. But then I think on the larger parcel, we do need to take, he's got 2.04 residual at 4,500 an acre, so that's probably the
Marsh.
marshland then.
Yeah.
So I think we take the home site on both of them, and whether the home site on the home itself, that should be higher than the back land.
I would think so too. My personal.
But now it's, the land is 325, but where the home is 260.
I think that, I mean, I get that the home site is smaller, but that's a pretty special home site to have water
Says
on
acre.
both sides of you like that, so.
Yeah.
I can kind of see how it would have, obviously, they were able to build a much bigger house on that one. But I could kind of see, but I mean, I'd be fine with them being similar.
Depends on how.
What were the home site values on those other pieces?
225, 250.
We saw the whole land value, but not necessarily the home site value, right?
Right.
Let's see,
That's
2.7.
278 too for 2.7 acres.
So my guess is the home site value there, I wonder if that's 260, if he's got the same designation. Can you pull that up on Vaminet, or do we want Crystal to pull some tax cards while we?
I can do, bam on that, let's see. What was the, Adams, John Adams?
Wonder why the classification changed on that too.
I know. That's the first thing I noticed. I was like, what happened there?
260.
So I think that gives some justification to bring the other point of land down to 260, and then in terms of the 135, I wonder if the 52C, the 52D, or the, over there where you're looking, the E135 or the 133, if any of those have a lower home site value than 260, or if they're all 260 and he's just, so that would have to be lower there, right? Because it's got a bunch of extra acreage. It's a pretty special property, but I guess out there in Upper Lancaster, even with a big, nice house and a guest house, that really is its own piece. That 1.6 would be a little steep, particularly being in the flood zone.
This was 220. It's going the other way.
Right, that makes it 260 on the point, which is, his should be 260 on the point, and then 220. It might be worth looking up a couple of those, but then if all the ones that are sort of there with that same view are 220, at least saves them 40,000 on the land value. Al's there. In terms of also on that land, I don't know if it's worth looking at, do they all have waterfront as 1 acre? Why is there a? Okay, waterfront 1 acre, that's the
220
acre.
on this one
that's-
too, Neil.
So I think you either gotta
They're
go,
gonna have gorgeous views looking straight out.
yeah, I think you either gotta go 220 on all of them, in which case we'd be changing 52B, or you keep the points at 260 and then change theirs, that's at 260 to 220, and make that the only change.
So this one's 260, these are 220 right here.
Yeah.
So you gonna
So
make
you're
them
thinking that those should be the same as these? And these are right out on the point.
Yeah, I'm just trying to find a reason, right? So from equalization, if you can find something that you think is more similar to those that has a different value, then I don't know if you look further up the creek. Right, that's Hazard Lane over there where we were looking at property, right? Is that Hazard or not Hazard? Right, the guy up there came in, right?
Hazard's over
Yeah,
here.
hazard's
Yeah.
right there.
Somebody came in on White House Creek, right? And we were looking at some of
Yeah,
those
yeah,
values?
there's the one on
Right
Hazard.
here.
Yeah. So if those are different than 220 and 260, then we could equalize to those versus, I could see where that one at 260 and those at 220 could be higher. But I guess I would just like to see another value to say this is why we're doing it, as opposed to just sort of,
I mean, so with these at Foster, you're saying that you would keep those at 260 with these being at 220?
I would keep potentially I guess if we could do both of them at 220, if we think that point being 260 is extra special.
No, I'm just saying from an equalized standpoint, these lots over here at Toll's Point are gonna have much bigger views and better views from a value standpoint than these lots right here
Okay.
Yeah.
with swampland on it. But
But then what number? So if the Hazard Lane ones are 180 or a different number, then I'd be fine equalizing to, I think that would be a very similar
Well, the thing is that
parcel.
these parcels are right next to each other. Why does one have 260 and one has 325?
they should be the same.
Yep. And I could see going to
Should be the same.
220 on both of them, or if there's
That's right up in here.
Right here, that's the
Oh.
subject parcel, but these out here are 220.
Well, can we raise these up here?
I don't want to do that.
Why? Are you up there?
No, I just, I guess that's the thing, I don't have a particular number in mind, so if we're gonna go, so the only number I have in mind right now is 220. So if we're gonna
I think these
go
should
lower
be
than
higher than
220,
those
then,
back there.
can you look at the Hazard Lane real quick and just see what their home sites are? If their home sites are 180, then I think you can justify 180, because then you're equalizing it to the, properties that are further up White House Creek versus equalizing it to theirs do seem high. That's a pretty good. But we may have changed that, right?
I think we just have.
Or did we just do so that to me seems like it was probably a 260.
I think we're gonna have to pull the order, I don't remember this.
You talking about the one on Hazard Lane?
Yes.
Yeah. And I think their land is very similar, if not better, than this, being closer to the confluence.
All right, well, while she's looking at the land, let's look at the improvement values, otherwise we will be here until 5 o'clock with one deal.
Yep.
Yeah, you pull every chart.
So then there's the improvements, right? So the biggest jump was on well, I guess both of them were pretty big jumps at the,
Yeah, 350,000 on one and 50 on the other.
the condition and class didn't change, so that's not an avenue.
Well, the factor went down 15. That's. Normally factors have been going up. I don't know why it went down 15. but
To me, that indicates he somehow thought it was a bit high. So he was trying to be, because it had been at 150. I just wish there was a way that they could like put a mark on it and tell you that the assessor specifically made a change versus it was somehow a result of.
bless you.
Thank you.
That's
Yeah, because the factor went from,
Another big difference here was the garage, right? Went from 50,000 to 64,000. I guess that's not huge in the scheme of things. I think we have to think of them as two separate pieces, right? So what
Oh,
would this,
absolutely,
what would
yeah.
this house with, because they're two sides, so what would this house with 3,300 square feet?
Well, I think for the house, we should, there's no reason to lower the factor.
Nope.
So go back to 150, right?
Yep.
You know, we could say that as a, rather than, you know, for whatever, who knows why the assessor lowered it to 135? But I guess I would kind of keep it at 135, the same way that we kept the economic on the other one.
All right. So you want to change depreciation?
Yeah, I think, I mean,
Well, we only
I
got
guess
three and
for that house on its
95
own in the
years.
flood zone, 1-1, right? I mean, I think what he said, the most expensive thing that sold out in Upper Lancaster was 1-1.
Right.
That's not maybe completely true, but I know, right, Sandra had one with a pool further up on the Coratone that went for 1-1. I don't remember exactly when, but that does seem a little bit high to me for flood zone all the way out it. Now, you guys had that one that did 135, right, out on Tolls Point, the one at the very end.
That's been more than a year ago though, and that
Yeah.
was not a flood zone. It had a guest house. Yeah.
Might be a decent sort of overall value. Of course, that was right on the Rappahannock.
Yeah.
There's some pros and cons.
Lane, y'all, he was 157 Hazard Lane, y'all didn't do anything with the, like, I don't know what it was. This is 31-50A,
Yeah.
but y'all, manufacturer and glass, and you go to the,
$260.
Okay, that's right.
I would go to 260 for the little house because it's a point of land. It seems to be valuing points of land at a higher rate, I think because of the feet of shoreline. And then I would go to 220 on the house site unless there's another property
I
that,
don't think we can, to me, I don't think we can give it $40,000 in value. They're side by side.
I mean, that other one was 260 and the one right next to it was 220.
Well, like you, well,
I mean, they kind of do that as you're going down, it's, we are there because all the properties seem more similar, but, you know, on a creek especially, as you're going towards the end of the point, that point of land gets the highest home site value. And then as you go back up the creek, the home site values get somewhat lower.
Yeah, but
I would either go
so
both, I
you're-
would
so
either
you're- so
do
you're-
both
you're-
260
what
or.
what you're proposing is
I say both 260.
this at 260, this is 220?
What's 220 put down there?
I
Yeah,
say-
just because it's not a point of land.
So 220 for this, 260 for this?
Or 260
No.
and 260. Because Hazard was 260 and we didn't change that. And I know when we looked at Hazard, we also looked at other
You can
parcels
see all the way up
around.
to
So
Richmond
we got
County.
these at 260, 220, 220, 220.
Last time, the home sites were exactly the same, 120 and 120.
Oh, yeah?
Yep. I say we both leave them at 260.
Okay,
Okay,
everybody in agreement with that?
Both of them to 260.
260?
yeah.
Neil?
Yep.
All right,
On the little house, the old factor was 100, so we could conceivably,
What number you calling that?
106?
yep, go from 106 to 100.
Yep.
That's a
Yep.
change
Yep.
we've been making.
We go back to 100?
Yep.
Yep. That ought to put them a fair amount below 500, which is still a lot more than 279 when. But again, I mean, part of that is because in 2019, all the assessments went down in Upper Lancaster. So it's kind of like some of these are getting the biggest jump of anywhere else because they went down last time and then now they're going way back up.
And what about the factor on the big house? Leave it at 135?
I guess we need 135, but I think we need to adjust the physical depreciation.
For 07.
10?
17-year-old house.
What, you wanna do 10? 12, 14?
Let's do 12.
Let's do something.
12?
12? Sounds good. Everybody go with 12?
Yep.
Neil?
That's 31, 35, right?
So we didn't change the land value on that one at all.
Correct.
This one's gonna go up in price because its factor's going, no, it's going back down.
Then we're gonna
No.
do, right, we'll leave the factor at
Leave the factor.
135 and trust the inspector, the assessor there.
Just hit it with depreciation, a little bit more depreciation.
Do you think $1 million is probably about right for that property? Obviously, we don't know the specifics,
See,
but
that's the tough thing, Neil. I mean,
Yeah.
I can't tell you that without even going to the property.
yeah.
I mean, we're looking at all those values, but
You don't remember this
I
one?
think it's tough for us to say, what would that sell for in today's market? I mean, I wouldn't do a CMA without going and physically seeing a property and
Yeah.
seeing what's inside, so
Well, right, his take, he had some information, right? What was his information? Did he have a chart for us? I know, right, his take was that
no.
the
you don't
purchase
have a
price was
chart.
837 in 2019, so he thought that, I think his thought was that 1.2 million was fair market value for the entire thing, based off of a purchase price of 837,900 for all of it in 2019.
Well, he said according to Jason, everything went up 30 to 44%. So based on that, in his numbers, he'd be comfortable between 1,026,000 and Zillow's of 1,236,000.
That was for everything, right? But
Right.
that's just the nature of it. When you sell parcels all at once together, they get valued differently than when you look at them separately, and we have to look at them separately. Yeah, let's just boost the depreciation and.
All right, so on 3135, just to be clear, we're gonna leave factor at 135 and take physical from 8 to 12, right, board?
Correct.
Everybody good
Right.
there?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Crystal, you get that one, 3135?
Just physical depreciation as well.
Physical to 12, yes. Yep.
In fact, it's 135,
Do we
right?
need to change his bathroom, he said? Get a Jack and Jill from 2 full bathrooms to 1 full bathroom?
I think it's 2.5.
No,
I wasn't following that. I know you said Jack and Jill, but I didn't know what he said.
Yeah, I think what, right, he was saying that the Jack and Jill has, it's one
2
of
toilets
those,
and 1 shower.
2 toilets and 1 shower.
Right.
And so I think that extra toilet is what they're calling the half bath.
Okay.
So there's certainly a master bathroom, guest, the full bathroom there, a half bath somewhere in the house.
And then
The
the
question
Jack-
is, does that extra toilet constitute a whole extra half bath?
Yeah.
Or is, when you have a Jack and Jill
We're
like
gonna
that?
leave that saying the assessor was correct. I haven't been in the house, I can't verify it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so the other parcel,
You're going back down to 100, right?
Yes.
And then you're
Little house.
changing The home site to 260.
260.
That was it?
Yep,
Yep.
3134 Crystal. Home site from 325 to 260. And factor from 106 to 100.
And if they want some more tax relief, then the thing for them to do is to combine them into one parcel.
All right, Ms. Arthos, Sam's Cove. She would like relief because her neighbors aren't keeping up with their properties.
The fact,
Remind me to tell you about her later.
Take care of that bamboo. Come
I'm
on.
sure she's the one Richard fusses about all the time, about the daggone bamboo. Oh, well.
So, Neil, this was your client.
Yep.
My thing is, she felt 345 was a fair market value when she purchased it in '21. It's assessed 20,000 lower than that. So where,
Yep.
I know she's made improvements to the property. She's cleaned it up. Now, the fact that she's had to put money into JES for the structural issues, they've given her 5% economic depreciation for that.
I would just love to know what he did to make it go up from the thing that she came in to argue about.
We don't know that.
The old factor was 95, but I mean, since that assessment, things have been done to the property.
I think that's why I took the physical from 45 to 33 also.
Yeah. So there ends up being no data, Crystal, if they come in and argue it and he changes it. There's no extra data. We don't know what levers he pulled there. Yeah, I do feel bad that she came in and, so whatever he did, he increased her improvement values by
That was strange.
$25,000. I'm not sure if he changed the condition in class or decided to take
it's
the
all-
factor
it's-
up after talking with her.
It's all the same, but he gave her 5% extra depreciation for the foundation structural issues.
Or maybe that was because of her complaints.
It says five economic foundation problems per new.
Oh, is that up, where is that? 5 economic foundation problems per new owner, okay. Fronts lane, recent sale, reno underway. Yeah, I mean, that sales
I mean,
price,
If we asked, did she finance it or was it cash?
she may have been cash. I'd have to
So
look.
I mean,
That makes sense to me.
if
that
we
she
were to
was
look at her
cash.
sales contract, what was market value when she bought it? And she felt market value was 345. I mean, if we change it, we're gonna say you paid over. Well,
Well,
even
I
at the
think
current.
obviously that's what she said.
Even at the current thing, you're paying over, but
Yeah.
it was market value because that's what a willing and able buyer and seller were willing to do the deal for.
What about her comparable, 76th Lane, that house that was Ronnie Crockett's listing, no, or Emily Carter's, I forget, that house was quite old.
Those weren't comps, those are the properties she was saying that, I thought those are the ones she was complaining about with the picture saying that her neighbors.
No, that
Hadn't
she's got
kept up with
76th
properties and
Lane,
that.
108 Pony Pasture, Irvington.
She needs to move.
Pony pasture, isn't that, what's her name?
You can't stop the people from.
That was the Geyer's old house, or like Bill bought it and Mary was living there. No, it was Alice and Kelly, I think, had it listed, but Bill Geyer bought it. It was who was the guy who did the plate? Randy.
Oh,
It was Randy's old house.
Randy.
Yeah. And then Bill Geyer bought it, and Mary was living there for a while. I feel like Pony Pasture, not a great comp for the lane.
No.
Anytime you kind of get outside of that easy walk,
Which one's
and she's got
76 the
42
lane?
Steamboat.
76 the lane. What is 76 the lane? You remember that one?
Yeah, it was right across the street from Chesapeake Academy on the lane, Little Brown, I forget, I think Ronnie Crockett.
Oh, that was that was Ronnie's sister's house.
Yes.
There's Ronnie's house right here.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was his sister's house or something like
Yeah.
that. But I don't think that's a very relatable comp either. I think that house is quite a bit older. She's got the 42 Steamboat Lane, but that was only 962 square feet. Sold for 225, but and 23, but so much smaller. I don't know how you.
They lowered the physical depreciation, but threw in there some econ depreciation. Okay, well, that's for the foundation. Okay.
I don't know. I would potentially up the physical depreciation a bit,
Yeah, why
just
we
because
lowered it?
they've been pretty consistent with doing that. I know she bought it for 345 and 21. Obviously, she's saying she doesn't think the value's there anymore.
Well, do you think they adjusted that physical because they've got recent sale renovation underway?
Potentially. They also increased the factor.
That was because of the foundation problem. Oh, the economical depreciation?
They went factor 95 to 106 and physical depreciation from 33 to 45.
Did she say she did renovations?
The last owners did. I don't think,
Okay.
it says recent sale reno underway. Is that,
Well, she's owned it since what, 2021?
yeah.
I just wonder why that note's on that one.
Oh, it does say recent sale reno underway on the old tax card.
Yeah.
So that seems to be a holdover. I wouldn't change both the factor and the physical depreciation, but I would change the physical depreciation potentially. I think for future ones, if they're gonna make changes after the owners come in and dispute something, particularly if they raise it, that they need to provide some notes. Because I think you can guarantee that if they come in to argue it and then they raise it, that the people are gonna be back in to see us and to have no context for why he thought his original work was wrong is hard, I think. But then again, I guess you could look at it as the assessor looked at it and decided to do that pretty specifically. Given the electrical and the foundation, I guess he did the 5% for the foundation. So I guess the choices are either nothing or take the physical depreciation back to 45.
But my only thing is there's gotta be a reason he took it from 45 to 33 and gave it 5% economical. I don't know, it appeared to me in her presentation, it was more about, with the picture showing the bamboo, the car, and the project store, they were devaluing her property.
Her
Yeah.
neighbors, yeah.
Yeah,
Huh?
That's the
Is that what you
gist
got out
I
of it?
got. That's what she was trying to portray, it sounded like, anyway.
yeah.
So what,
Which is just more economic depreciation, right?
so we can't go
Maybe a
in there and cut
factor
it.
issue then? Does the,
Well,
No,
what if
maybe
you
not.
just simply took the factor back to 95? Leave the depreciation where it's at, assuming he had his reason for doing that, and add in the 5% of economic depreciation. I was trying to do the math real quick, but I got ahead of myself, so.
I mean, she was a unique buyer in that she wanted something in Irvington, and I forget, I know the home inspection wasn't great. I don't remember those specific issues exactly, but it wasn't a great home inspection, and she was just kind of like, I feel like 2021 things were at a little bit of a fever pitch. But I can also see that was the, what were you talking about doing, RJ?
Factor down to 95.
What's on you leaving at night or in the morning?
At this rate, I'm gonna have to catch a plane tomorrow night.
Hey, we got a whole day set aside
Take
to,
the sun. Yeah, we can
to
always
do
take the
things. We
sun.
could just knock off early,
Yeah, because it's
like the
still,
kids.
the time on mine, it'd be 3 weeks. I mean, whatever.
We got one of those days just for the green. So if we took the factor down to 95, what would that do? 352 and 33. Times 95%. I give her about 40.
So it might be too much.
Uh, 40 off, 280, and she paid 345 for it.
Make it 100, just try and get her back to where the original one was to some extent.
I'm having trouble with this one.
You know what, why don't we look at the factor on the neighbor to her right, because that was Mr. Monroe's house.
Sam Junior's?
Yeah,
Yeah.
401, no, what am I? What number am I? Yeah, 401,
33401.
yeah.
All right, anybody else?
No, because I think we're just mainly looking at factor. I don't even know if there's any, are there houses on 39 or 38?
There's a couple of other houses
Are
back in
there?
there.
The Schroeders live right here.
I thought that's where the soccer field was.
No, Schroeders might live right here, hold on. No?
Maybe that's where they.
Schroeders are here.
Okay.
Right next
So there is a
door.
little house there, okay.
And this is Beth Clark's daughter, Carter
Yep.
and Travis.
Yep.
The young couple.
Yep. And that house needed work.
Mm-hmm.
was factor of 106.
Same thing.
Yep. I say we leave her alone.
Cool.
No change?
No change.
No change.
No change.
Sounds good.
33,400 for Ms. Arthos, no change.
You want to do one more and then table the rest of it?
You cut the bushes.
Keep going, I'm fine.
Okay.
Mr. Hines?
He didn't say anything about the other three. I think they're on the third line, but he did tell me more of those considered.
None of those changed, right?
I don't know.
I think I was looking at it when we,
Oh, God. Oh, this man will only do.
Yeah,
You could,
I think he was only concerned.
you said he
about
was
the
here
house.
for the 2019 assessment?
Just the house?
I don't know, you could probably go back and look at your notes from then, because I bet nothing's changed. Literally.
Nothing changed on G, I, or J, as far as value.
No, we haven't looked at that yet.
I think that's what I saw when I was,
Out in unfinished, no occupants permit.
Krista, what happens in a case like
Where
that,
does he
where somebody
stay?
starts construction and it just,
Does he live?
he's got a house,
from the county
Yeah.
standpoint?
it's, it's right on the turn in the road. And there's like, the first thing you see is the unfinished house that he started to build like 20 years ago and never did anything. And then he lives in a little house right behind it that you can't really see.
Okay, because the other man is.
and we looked at this last time.
Mr.
Did Forrest,
Palin.
Yeah.
which one?
Palin. Ernest
He
Palin.
might.
Uh,
Nah, I don't know if he lives on that road or not.
I
Which
looked
was
at
last
it,
time we
he
dropped
lives on
down
the
from
road.
67.4 to 57.8. This time it went from 57.8 to 95,000.
Yeah.
All right, well,
I don't know
Crystal, G, I, and J, there was no change to what is, was, what it is now, so. So we're just considering 723B.
Just taking the factor back to 90 and then completion to 50.
No occupants.
Is that what it used to be? In 19?
Physical depreciation was
Yeah, it was 90.
50, the factor was 90. I think they had the completion at 65%. I'm not sure why there's these two notes.
Well, the assessor never looked at this property, never saw it, just could not locate it. So for them to say it's,
I feel like last time, it may have been a different property, but I feel like last time Marlon or Beth knew about this property and had some
I don't think-
information for us. Because again, last time we went, last time we lowered it, but not a ton. I
And
think
it
last
is-
time he wanted it lowered.
it didn't even have a CO.
He wouldn't have had a CO last time if he doesn't have it this time.
And this house is old.
Remember there was a couple of people last time that
There
had,
were, and I just don't
that
remember.
had, I remember there's a guy that had like a bigger, nicer house that was telling us about how it wasn't completed.
Yeah.
But I remember, maybe that was the guy. And I feel like Marlon or Beth were like,
Yeah, yeah.
like they knew
yeah,
the guy.
Yeah,
And that it wasn't as dire as,
exactly.
potentially as dire in terms of what percentage of it was completed.
I just don't, I'm drawing a blank on this one. But if he has no occupancy permit, essentially it's just shell.
Yeah, I wonder if it has electric or water.
It's got electricity on it.
But that's his mailing address, right?
He's got a light
And that's
that stays
what he's
on
got
in
on his
that
card.
thing.
So it seems like
The
he's
the light stays
there.
on, like the lighthouse.
He doesn't live there, does he?
His house is actually just behind
This one?
where this unfinished structure is.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Huh.
There you go. If you take the factor back to where it was and take the completion to 50, kind of trusting him, though I guess, I don't know if we made that change last time, or we obviously
go.
didn't make the change last time.
Little puppy dog.
That's, yeah,
He lives
that's,
in the station wagon?
This is a good
This
picture,
guy.
probably.
that is where he actually lives, but the building
Is in front.
In front, you
is actually out in front on the corner,
I got you.
And he would like to,
see it?
but it's been the same, I mean, it's been
What,
20,
since he was born?
it's been 20 years, it's been sitting there and ain't been touched. It's been the same way.
Well, that's why he has that long list of to-dos. Because he didn't get a chance to do it.
This
Well-
is 1963.
But I wonder if that was the original that burnt.
Oh, probably. Yep. Good point.
Page 56.
Well, if we take the factor back down to 90, physical depreciation,
15.
it was 50, well, I can't tell what it was. It was 50 before.
The
Yeah,
only
I got
thing,
It hadn't gotten any better. You want to bump that to maybe 75?
How many years have been like it, 20-something?
so the completion number, the completion
We could change
percentage-
that back from 65 to 45.
Yeah, I don't think that's 65%, not
Right.
from what I see.
That's what he said, about 45.
Okay.
You want to take the physical from 50 to 75?
Sure.
I don't see why you can't.
We good on that, everybody?
yep,
Everybody good? All right, Crystal. 723B. Factor from 93 to 90. Physical depreciation from 50 to 75. And completion percentage from 65 down to 45.
You got carpet in there, right? Vinyl? It said electric, no AC. 6 rooms, three bed, 2 bed, two bed? Yeah. Okay. It is straight, so we go on the other side.
What, Craver next?
Craver, yep. Let's see. Says-
Yeah, it said something like that.
another one with kind of limited view, limited water depth, Upper Lancaster.
Mitchell Homes was the builder.
His is way newer than Moriarty's is. I know Moriarty tugged on our heartstrings a little bit about the carpet and the laminate and the drywall and stuff like that. His house was built in 21, so I would assume that. And I know a couple of people in Mitchell Homes. They don't seem to be, they're different than David Jones or something, but they're not like total disasters. The ones that I know are pretty nice. His old one had no depreciation because it was a brand-new tax card.
Yes, gee.
Got a new pier. This is one where he said his total, what he spent on his improvements was 331,000.
Right.
factor was 110. That's all just the increase in the
Yeah, this.
Price per square foot.
price per square foot. Factor went up by
This is
1.
tough.
That doesn't help a whole lot.
This is one of those ones that's just tough because it's, I mean, everything looks right on the paper except for that square foot figure.
Yep.
So we don't even know how he comes up with that. So how do we, what do we do?
I think for a 2021 house, GC's got to be the condition and class. I feel like C for a 2021 house is actually kind of low. I guess that gives you maybe some indication with Mitchell Homes. 541.
I don't know. That's just crazy, that price per square foot went up so high.
Yep.
Do we check neighbors to see their factors? Be just trying to see what Moriarty's factor was to see if that gives us
That's what you had said.
any ability to adjust. That's been pretty rare when we've adjusted.
Well,
There's-
Moriarty, you said y'all's decision was factor to 90, physical appreciation to 10%.
This is what happens when we're 2. But his was older and he's further up the creek. And I think,
Less water, yeah, but same area.
I think in terms of the 90 factor, can you tell, did we go back to the old factor?
I don't know, I just have to, I think, the order to get that.
It's a weird street because you'd start off and it's the headwaters, and then in the middle, it's kind of deeper and better views. And then at the end of the street, you're back to the headwaters again.
Because he said in his testimony that there was no deep water, it's not just mud there right now.
Yeah.
No, just wait till tonight. You'll have plenty of water.
Still boat depth. Right, the big thing is the price per square foot, so unless we're gonna up the depreciation or lower the factor, then we don't really have any knobs to turn on this one. And it's been pretty rare that we've taken the factor down for anybody unless we've really gotten some evidence that the house is in bad shape. Which I would think being built in 2021, the house isn't in bad shape. It's maybe the only thing. But maybe he did pretty good, only spending $331 on improvements with Mitchell Homes. Then he's got some equity there. He did provide some comps.
I know, and I'm looking at some of them,
A 1940 house, I think, is hard to,
the one on Mulberry Creek, that was not that sales price. It sold for a lot more than that. That might have been the assessment, but that was not what it sold for.
Mm-hmm.
did you see there's like 1,000 square foot cottage listed for 5 something? I forget who has the listing, but I saw that Travis has the buyer on it out on Lancaster Creek. That one kind of blew my mind when it came on the market and it's under contract. But it's still, Lancaster Creek is bigger. But man, there's some stuff selling out there.
Well, y'all want to take the factor down to, back to 110, and then maybe depreciation, give them 5% instead of 3?
Yep.
Yeah,
Everybody go with that?
yep.
Yep.
Okay. 25 F19. factor from 111 to 110, and the physical depreciation from 3 to 5%. All right, Bert Stovall.
He was here last year too, or last time.
Yes.
We're going to start with,
Let's see.
We'll do the commercial one, it's pretty cut and dry.
Yeah. Start with
when you look at any,
storage.
I don't see why commercial land would be any different than agricultural land or residential land in that area. I certainly wouldn't think commercial would be higher value. And putting, it just seems wrong to put the same value on the total acreage.
And why in
For
the
commercial.
world would it have increased from 15,000 an acre 4 or 5 years ago to 40,000 now?
He's just put $40,000 an
Same with
acre on
Virginia
all
Henry's property,
commercial,
same thing.
on all commercial property
It
throughout the
doesn't-
entire
Right, just blanket.
county. It isn't.
I'm gonna start doing that for my grain values.
Yeah.
It's a shame, you can't.
You'll grow tobacco.
But then the question, if we're gonna
No.
change it, then what do we
Might have
use as
to.
a
Basis.
Yeah.
basis? I mean, that was, there was two huge hits. It's the 40,000 an acre, and then it's taken the rate on mini warehouse to 40.
Yeah, so the only other one
looking on
that I can think of we
1122,
could compare it to is the one that's, right there near Pinkersville. I mean, that's not, yeah,
Brookvale,
yeah,
Brookvale storage?
yeah. I mean, just see what that rate is. I don't know.
It's the rate and the depreciation as well. I mean, I think those
Same
buildings
thing
have
as
been
the
there for
the highway department, right? That's what you're talking about.
Yeah,
Website, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
10% depreciation on the building seems low to me, but the only way I would know to change that would be to look at other storage units. I guess it doesn't really have a year on here, does it? Might have been a question to ask.
it's got 2005, but would that be the storage units or is that the
No,
little building?
I don't know. I feel like my mom's-
That's the,
Little tiny building?
no, that's the storage buildings.
Really?
Where?
Gosh, I would have thought it's been there
Next
longer
Dollar
than that,
General.
but
I would have
I
thought
live
that
it.
too. I was trying to
That
I
remember.
little-
guess
that little white
2005
building.
was a
Is
while
a
ago.
beautician works here.
That's been there a long time.
Gosh,
You
I
probably
know,
owns
that's
that.
crazy. I would have thought they were there longer. Oh, well,
No, I think Herman, them had just gotten done with the Annabelle Lee's, and they built that lively storage.
huh. Wow.
'Cause I didn't think the bank closed 6, and Herb and Jack Enoch and them were at the Waystone office then, and then he was running up and down the road getting lively storage straight.
I'll be darned. Huh. Gosh.
Maybe if he's done 40,000, so one of the things we can do here is separate off half of it and put it as residual, right? Because he's not using that entire,
Same with Brent Udy from Kumar Color Clinic.
True,
We took his front at 40,000, the rest at something different.
yeah.
I don't know what numbers to use, but if we did that and put it at like a residual of 4,500 and kept the commercial acre at 40,000, that would get them, that would take a good chunk off for that amount.
I know, because I find it hard to believe that these other storage units, that they're zoned commercial, they're probably agricultural or something.
Well, that's weird. I guess that would be, that'll be interesting.
All right,
Hopefully this one solves the problem for us.
yeah.
I don't want a
hopefully.
storage unit situation like the marina situation.
Yeah.
So he did up, he went from a 10 to a 20% depreciation.
All right, this is Fillmore, I still call it Fillmore's, his daughter actually runs it now, but this is all the storage things, and then this 15 by 18 frame shed, that's where she uses her, as her office, that
right.
they just put a little ramp and porch on. So
Yep.
that's-
30,
Oh, it
30,
is zone
40,
commercial.
50, 50, 30, 100. But she's at 25,000.
25,
Per acre?
yeah.
And where is this, where's that one?
Right by
Roadside,
the,
right,
Oh, yeah, Brookville.
yeah,
yeah,
That's closer to town.
yeah.
yeah.
There's one in town too, I guess. There's one on Oscar Road.
So
Do they have any residual? How many acres is it?
it's
They just,
10 acres. So it's, no, 5 and 5. So 45.
They gave 25.5 for 5 acres and 25 for the other 5 acres.
but I bet you if you, can we get the old tax card on that one? I don't know that matter, but I'll bet you that since it's split off like that,
1640?
Okay.
I bet you since it's split up like that, that the old tax card had it as 2 different values. And then he's just going through and everything commercial. But if it's all equalized, then it's kind of a mess.
What zoning's on, this is A2?
Well, they're doing, that is, yeah, it is. Type is commercial. Isn't that funny? Hmm. Interesting.
Interesting.
On the house, there's all those houses right there, including the guy that came in and spoke with us. You got this house, and then the next one on Ray Davis Lane, we sold that
Oh, you're
several years.
going to the waterfront?
Yeah, sorry, I'm jumping around. While she's grabbing that.
It's gonna be right here, it's on the second sheet. but I'm showing
Yeah, so they had commercial and wooded. And he's just gone through for every single property that's got commercial on it and just made all the acreage. That's crazy, like that. 10 acres. Is not all worth, but then he's got it at 25, where all the other ones that we've seen are 40.
Yeah. And there's gotta be a distinction between being right in the town
Sure.
versus up north.
Well, we
East,
can,
west,
we can do what we want, right?
Yeah.
So, right, 1 acre of it is residual. Open, right, it's open, I think open's been 4,500 an acre. And then the rate, they could make it 25 to kind of match
I would, to match the
Brookvale,
other one. Yeah.
or make it
Alright, so-
20, because maybe it should
so
be
the
less
one-
than Brookvale.
1 acre commercial, we're going 25,
Yep.
and the remaining
1.1.
1.153 residual at 4,500
Yeah.
an acre? Okay.
And then is there anything to do on the storage building itself?
I don't think so.
He upped the depreciation.
Yeah, from 18 to 40, right? Or,
From 10 to 20.
no, he upped the rate from 18 to 40.
But he,
Yeah.
the rate went super high, but it seems to match the rates for,
Yeah, Brookvale's, 40, I just looked at it. 45.
I mean, based on all of this, I would think every storage unit owner in the county is gonna come to see us. So I could see there being,
Well, are we good with just these two changes then?
I just don't know what else, what kind of depreciations did he put on Brookvale's? It's interesting that Brookvale has everything from, or whatever that one's called, has everything from like 35 to
What,
50.
depreciation?
Just like the rate.
Oh.
Is it, 45 was the rate, and then 35.
Oh, they're all
depreciation.
35.
Yep.
And then what, do they have a year on those? 35 depreciation?
No. Let's see here on any of them.
But there's a year on,
New building left off. New building left off.
age 2005, that doesn't have age on it anywhere, huh?
Uh-uh.
Do we, can we justify making the depreciation 35 based on the other one, or do we assume that the assessor did that because of the?
Well, he changed it from 18 to 4, no, he changed the rate 18 to 40.
So not that, so we're looking at depreciation. So we're saying we
Oh,
can't
change
really do
this one from
anything
10 to
about the rate.
35 to match the other one? How old's Brookvale?
Doesn't have a,
Doesn't have
Chris,
a
do you
date.
know how old Brookvale is, storage?
I know Fillmore had on before he died, but it seems like he's been there a while, but I don't know. I just don't.
Yeah.
I feel like metal buildings with a concrete floor,
But I'd say at least 20 years.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
He wasn't there when I was going to high school, that was almost 40 years.
no. Well, if it's only 25 years old, that's not a whole lot different than 19 years for,
Still don't want the light on you.
for
Oh.
the one that we're talking about. Up at the 25? Or
For depreciation.
Depreciation.
On that mini thing, the warehouse?
on the
Yeah.
warehouse?
Yeah.
Their depreciation is 35% on everything.
Brookvale, yeah.
I just kind of feel like this commercial stuff is all. I mean, that's 35% and there's no information on the tax card to tell you why it's 35%. You don't know the age of those. You'd think there'd be some sort of straight depreciation on a metal building like that, but. So yeah, either leave it the same or that would be the only other thing that we could do. Would be to
What's your
bump it.
proposal, Neil?
Wait a minute. Yeah, it looks like it might have been done in 2008.
Brookvale?
Yeah.
So it's about the same time as these then?
Yeah. They're just looking at the assessments,
We're looking at the building permits, right?
unless there was some portion of it. They got a 35%.
Wait a minute, is it the date? No. Yeah, it'd be 2008, May of 2008. That's when Brookvale was completed.
What's your depreciation, 35?
Yep.
All right. 35% depreciation to match
On
those?
the mini warehouse.
Are we good?
Yep.
All right, Crystal, 14A, 413. The 1 acre commercial land going to 25,000. Uh-huh. The 1.153 residual land, 153 residual land at 4,500 an acre. And then the depreciation on the warehouse mini storage from 10 to 35%.
Just one warehouse.
Mm-hmm.
I would also propose, since we were looking at it, you take Brookvale's 5 acres that changed from wooded to commercial at 25,000 an acre. We changed that back to wooded, 4,500.
Say what now?
So Brookvale's, since we got our eyes on it, it went from 5 acres of commercial at 10,000 an acre and 5 acres of wooded at probably 1,500 an acre.
No, it was 5 at 25,000 and 5 at 25.5,
Well,
right?
yes, that's the new one. The old one had 5 of commercial at 10,000 and 5 of wooded at 1,500. And so what we've done for,
Yeah, but we don't know if, because he used up all his acreage. Can't imagine he would have.
yeah, I guess with that. if he's
Brookvale?
gotta- Yeah.
We have no clue because they're not here to tell us anything.
They got an empty lot on the side, there's nothing in it. All the way
I guess we
back
gotta
to
wait
the-
for them to come in.
Yeah,
That's right.
I wouldn't feel comfortable changing theirs if they say, well, who told you
Yeah,
I had residual? I've, you know,
yeah,
Yeah.
I
yeah,
haven't on your property.
yeah.
Did you say on, Burke's Warehouse, 35% appreciation?
Yes, yep. All right, that was 13.
What's the next one?
Next one's 21B, which is their house on Windmill Point Road.
Just again, the big jump in improvement value?
That's it.
Um,
I can tell you, since she's been dead, there's been nobody at the house. I think Gordon was coming by every now and then to cut grass, but,
So can you at
you
least
you
drop-
might be able to sell that house today for $80,000. May be able to.
So you take the factor back to where it was at 90
Yeah.
and add some depreciation then if
Yeah.
it's in that bad a shape, how much do you think?
Whew.
I have no idea where we're talking about, to
Got-
be honest
got
with you.
it.
Got it, really?
Got-
That bad?
Yep.
What would we do? We did 75% for one earlier.
Yep.
Is that what you're gonna do now?
Does that seem,
If they got it, why not?
Well, we go to 60%. So factor 90, fiscal is 60. Anybody have any problems with those?
no, sir?
Neil?
Good.
Nope, that sounds good.
All right, 34, 211B, factor from 96 to 90, and physical depreciation from 20 to 60. Yep, 20 to 60. All right, 35, 219. This is the house on Ray Davis, right by High Bank.
I remember doing this one last time.
Yeah. And this is when land jumped up. 50,
20,000?
from 32.3 to 86.1? Nope. Look at the wrong one. Get rid of that sheet. This one.
Yeah, his improvements jumped up a lot.
That's it, yeah.
Ooh, 209. Holy moly.
That's another factor back to where it was, and the physical depreciation has gone lower than it was before.
Yeah, I mean, that house was cute, because I remember going in it, but
That's Debbie Davis's house, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I also feel like if you listed a house on the Rappahannock, but having no dock, that's a big,
Right. And
That hill
having
is gonna
that
be
steep.
200,000-300,000
Oh,
to
easy.
fix, without a doubt.
still think you could find somebody to pay close to 500, but maybe not. But if you go factor back to, what was it, 90?
Yep.
Physical was 25, now it's 20. Doesn't sound like much has been done. Do it so you could go to 30 on physical depreciation. In the end, the fact that it only went up 26% will probably mean they'll be paying less taxes on it than they were before. It's a pretty small change in the compare scheme of things. But I could see going to 90 and 25 or 30.
So we're saying factor 90 and physical
30 or higher.
30?
Someone's living there, right?
It's their weekend house.
It's their weekend house.
Yeah. And physical from 20 to 30?
Yep.
Everybody good there?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay. 34-211B? No, 35-219. Factor to 90, physical depreciation to 30. All right. Mr. Darer. This was one Maratico?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did they not say that they paid $380 for it
He did. Paid
in
380.
2023?
Yep, May of '23.
On this one, they didn't change the name.
Right.
Right.
On his name. He purchased it in 2023. So I guess they got to
So
that.
this says they have water view, which I'm sure they probably do.
Yeah. The factor went down, physical depreciation stayed the same. It said it was a cash deal, so it's a little bit like the Irvington one.
Yeah.
I mean, if they paid $380 for it during the time, the assessment's lower than,
True.
Yeah. I mean, he just bought it, didn't he?
Right. Oh, but then he did say the thing with
Garage.
the garage and the neighbor across the street. Like,
yeah, that's always, I mean, that was there when he bought it for.
right, true.
380. I mean, in the garage isn't, I mean, he was saying that the assessor said you've got a $28,000.
Yeah, but he's got
Yeah.
6,400 on here.
Right.
I mean, I could see throwing a pretty big depreciation on that. But it's not gonna make a whole big difference, but it's definitely a funky old building with dirt floors and stuff. You've definitely seen, but there's no depreciation on it, doesn't make any sense.
Weird.
But I think that's just kinda fair, even though it's,
Is it odd that the fiscal didn't change at all in the past 5 years? Say at 12%?
when did these people paid, the people who sold it bought it for $350 in 2001.
21.
20.
Sorry, 2021.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's kind of, again, similar to the Irvington. You got 2 sales within the past 2 years.
Right,
Yeah?
before it was
But-
reassessed.
You had a lot of pictures of the garage, but not really anything of the house.
And like, the garage is only 6,400 of value, so,
Right.
I mean, I could see depreciating that at 50%, but
to what now?
I don't know, 50%, 60%?
just the
It's old,
garage?
90%? The garage.
Leave everything else the way it is?
I would say, yeah, considering what he paid for it.
You want 50% of the garage?
There should be something there. I think 50 is kind of as good as
Y'all
any
good
other
with
number.
that?
Yes.
Okay, 1122, we're giving the garage depreciation of 50%. All right, Ms. Thomas.
So we should be able to see pictures of this. I feel like she'd have a lot more success selling it now than, I think it was on the market in 2020. It was definitely like during the height of COVID. And then probably that one that we looked at before, Ronnie Crockett's property over on the lane,
Uh-huh.
that took a little while to sell, would be a decent, sort of property to
Oh,
compare
yeah.
it to. The, right next to Brian and Jacqueline's house.
Yep, yep.
I think that would be kind of the lowest waterfront thing that's sold in Irvington.
Yeah, you're right.
And this one was pretty wild. Like you walk in, like she was saying,
This lady's house?
yeah. It ought to be able to see some pictures of it.
Yeah.
It's dated and it's got like the drop down in the living room.
Oh, groovy. The
We looked
sunken
at it
living
with,
room deal.
Was this it, Neil? 875? I think it was.
That would seem right, yeah. Sold for 800.
That's it.
1988.
So this was
Oh, yeah, the Wiggs house, yeah.
Wiggs.
I think that house had some potential, but
It was low when walking to the water at the Wiggs house. You didn't have a great view.
Yeah. Seemed like it definitely needed some cleaning up on the shoreline there.
I don't know that this one needs to be, to me, a big thing here is that it had square foot is 4,200 square feet, but a quarter of that house was
The
basically unfinished basement that was a workshop.
Right.
Is that
And
Carolyn?
We showed it to
Carolyn
some
Thomas.
people,
Yeah,
and
okay.
like,
I just want to make sure.
it wasn't just as simple as like finishing that quarter out, because the geometry of everything was weird.
Yeah.
This lady's house, I don't think, there's no basement. That 4,000 square feet is all above grade, I think.
This is the lady that made the case for, it was 1.5 stories, is that right? Instead of
Right.
2?
Yes.
Yeah.
We should look up I think the tax card has it right, because they've got 2 stories for the middle part, and then that front part, part H, is an addition. They've got that as 1 story, and that's like where you walk in, and it goes all the way up to the ceiling. And you walk upstairs, and there's bedrooms up there.
Yeah, so it looks like the 60 by,
You talking about this sketch?
Yeah, so the 60 by 24
Yeah,
is
yep.
2 stories.
Yep. porches. Front addition that's a 1-story.
What's the in bad?
The who?
It says the the D, G, J, and
Addi-
L?
They're additions, but, a one-story addition, but they have no basements.
Okay, yeah, so I think those were like rooms off of it. So I think you might be able to find it on the MLS.
This
I think that-
property,
Yeah,
Sandra apparently had
I
it on the
couldn't, I
market.
could try Matrix.
might be on Matrix because of the way that Navica, I think if, right, they kick stuff out after just a few months if it didn't sell. Seeing the pictures would be good. It definitely was, someone's gonna have to put a lot of money into it. They had it listed as 4410. No photo available.
Nope,
Dang it.
The hell?
Sandra Hargett deleted her photos. And it's not on Navica, so.
Ah,
It was very dated, for sure.
You're stuck with this photo.
No garage. Pretty cool place. The views weren't terrible. I'd say they're pretty similar to,
the wigs.
I don't know, would a million be about right?
Robert's next door sold for 1.7,
Yeah, that probably helps.
but a big house.
Yeah.
Basement, 2 floors, really nicely landscaped.
Factor was 130. Physical depreciation went from 11 to 22. There's another economic depreciation. Is there a note on
Is
this
it?
one?
You said 8.
8,
Not as good water frontage,
that's probably what he gave the,
which is not particularly consistent, but
no.
land went up 20,000, which for Irvington is
But
probably.
see, like, for this one, I don't see why the factor would stay the same. If anything, it would go lower.
Yeah, man.
I mean, the house is 36 years old.
Masonite siding, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
No garage.
I feel like $1 million for a 4,000 square foot house in Irvington is somewhat, except for Ronnie's. Not bad. I feel like we've not really dropped the factor below what the old factor was very often.
We could bump depreciation a little bit. I mean, you think it's 22% is right for it? I haven't seen the house. You think it should be higher? Or is it accurate the way it is?
No garage.
Do we need to change that story though from to 1.5?
I don't mean, see, the listing had it, what she was saying is you walk in and it goes all the way to the top, which is how I remembered it. But I think that middle part is
Sanders probably went off the real estate
the
tax.
real
I'm
estate
sure.
tax card,
Yeah.
yeah.
This has as a 2, yeah.
I mean, when did she have it on the market? How long ago do you think that
I
was?
think it was 2020, it could have been 2021. I wonder if anything just grabs it on. Was it 184 here?
Would you call it a 1.5 story, Jan?
If you look-
Your
if you look
appraisal?
on-
I would call it 1.5.
Not a
story.
2-story?
Yeah.
All right, well, let's make that change.
The pictures are still on Zillow.
Ooh, she's definitely got some age on her.
So that's where you
Yeah,
walk in
something
and
with
it
the roof.
goes straight up
okay.
there, but there's bedrooms and stuff up here.
Ooh, that's groovy.
Is that sunken too? There's a lot of.
Yeah, a lot of, I mean, the quality of construction don't look that bad.
Wait a minute, this isn't the 184.
It look like a museum.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah, that was it?
Yeah, I think so. I only
I
saw.
have seen this house. It's very dated.
Yeah.
It's got a awkward right-hand room, like a library, if you will, on the right-hand side, isn't it? Right here. And this room's sunken down, what you said?
Yeah, one of them was sunken down. Yeah, you just saw the stairs right there. Yep. There's a stairwell.
There's stairs right here.
Yep.
That's sunken down, and the main living room is sunken down. There's several. Got an outdoor fireplace.
Oh, here,
That's
yeah,
cool.
you see, walk down there. What was it on the market for?
770 is what she said.
But it wasn't on for very long. Like, she put it on, and it was on for a short period of time, and then, like she was saying, that guy who was doing the electrical wanted to rent it. And so she pulled it off the market. I don't remember how long it was on for, but it wasn't like it was on for 6 months or a year.
Here you go.
749.
Listed at 825. Back in 18. 19, it got dropped to 749, and then it was removed March 2020.
Yeah, so she pulled it off right as COVID, like the COVID market was. I mean,
Yeah.
it would have sold had she left it on for another few months for sure at 770. What it would sell,
Absolutely.
what it would sell for now, I don't know, but I don't think it's crazy too far
I
off.
don't either.
There's no garage. It's not a huge view because you're kind of tucked back, but I don't think it's crazy far off. I think she could. I think certainly somebody
you can
would list
see
it
the
for $1
view.
million, if not more.
You can see the view right from there.
Yeah.
That's not awful.
It's not awful, no.
I mean, that's better than the Wigs,
Yes, by far.
Yep.
and the roof doesn't look bad.
It's different. Oh, there's a one.
I'm just not sure what lever.
I don't know that there's one for us to do.
I'm okay leaving that one the same. I
You
think
okay
we
with
could-
leaving that the way it is?
Other than just that one,
Just to change it from
Change,
221 and a half?
yeah.
Okay, Crystal, for 27D5, the only change is just changing the number of stories from 2 to 1.5. And Neil, that one is a little easier because we've kind of all been inside of it to say,
Yep.
I think it's closer to value. All right, Mr. Frizzell, Shooting Star Lane. All right, let's go back here to 33-118B.
Let me get that pulled up. I just need to call WC Lowry real quick.
Sure.
Yeah. I saw the invoice
So the land, he said, to compare that parcel next door to it, that he said just sold. I don't know when he said that sold for 280.
He did.
But,
Let's see if we can tell us on here.
118, is that right? Yeah, 118.
Look. 33,118. 33,118. 33,118. $255.
118B.
That home site's 255 next door, this was 320. Both of them are 320. 255.
And this was next door?
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's see when that sold.
Do we need to ask Beth or Marlon if there's a,
say.
I've never heard of a deed restriction that you can't build on it. Does that give us a reason to take the
I haven't
home
either.
site off? I feel like in order to do that, we would need to see the
Yeah.
deed restriction.
Right.
Confirm that there's
Yeah.
really not a home site there.
I thought he said he couldn't further subdivide it,
I think that's what he said.
but
Yeah, I think that might have been the confusion, that he can't subdivide it anymore, but it's already subdivided and.
right, but he could, I'm assuming he could put another home there unless,
The impre-
There's a two-acre limit on what you can subdivide on the board.
what he was saying was in his deed, that his deed prohibited him from subdividing anything anymore. But then he's got a separate parcel which is large enough for him to build a house on, so.
I don't know if that was just kind of confusion on his part, because he said something like, oh, I mean, I could build a house there if that's what the county says for my kids or something like that. I think he seemed to be under the impression that he couldn't like build another house there and sell off just that piece of land. I think what he needs to do is just do a property line adjustment.
Yeah.
But we had talked about potentially asking Beth and Marlon, is there anything that would keep him from building? I think if they
Look, I
don't know,
mean,
then-
he had deed of easement in '04, deed of easement in 2012, acreage changed by survey in 18, acreage changed by survey in 20. So they've had a couple boundary line adjustments already on it, maybe before he bought it.
Well.
You
the
bought the
vacant-
whole thing for 900,000 when?
In 21.
21,
21.
December 29th.
I think we need to change the home site on the vacant lot back to 255 compared to the adjacent parcel.
Yeah.
I guess do it for his house too.
Yeah, so look, the residual next door is the same at 9,000, so that's consistent.
Okay.
So. That's 18E. So in 18B, we all do the same thing then.
Yeah.
The home side?
Yeah, for the home site 255.
feel like Golden Tail and Galway Drive are not,
Uh-uh.
um,
Definitely not Galway.
No, he did a ton of work at that place.
compare, I mean, this house is newer, and Golden Tail is kind of a crazy,
Yeah.
what's happened with that property in the past several years, from when they couldn't sell it at, selling in the sevens. Which one was Galway? Was 301 Galway, was that the?
That was the Dingle Dean's house at the very end,
That had like the,
which was uninhabited for,
yeah, and that was like, they had all the development stuff in there? Or was that the other?
that was the other one, on the right.
Okay.
That was,
That's the other one.
Galway Bay Drive. Yeah, this one was at the end. Beautiful views. You had to walk up steps. Had a basement. Need a lot of updating.
That's not a very good comp either, I think.
No, because they worked out a deal where it was a very favorable price to the buyer. So, the factor remained the same at 135. Physical depreciation went from 5 to 8.
Well, that seems low for 2007, right? Didn't we change something else that was 2007?
We
to like
did.
Maybe 15 or 20%?
Yeah. Go 20?
Yeah, I don't know,
Yeah.
15, 20.
Depreciation,
Yep,
and leave the rest,
yep,
because we're changing the lane on that, but
Yep.
leave the factor the way it was,
yep.
all right?
Where is Beth's office? Is she that way? I would like to ask on that, because I feel like I said I was gonna ask.
You go right down this hallway right behind you,
She might be a line.
and just go straight down, hang to the right, and go, and follow me back, yep. Gotta try to keep a straight face. And on the other properties, really nothing to do.
So both of them were just changing the home site back to 255, right?
And on the main house, we're taking depreciation from 8 to 20.
Yeah.
But on the other parcel, 118B,
Were we changing the home site or no?
yeah, the home site to be equal, but there's nothing else to change on
Yeah,
there.
mm-mm.
It's a shame they've got so much wasted paper.
I reuse paper because I go through so much of that too.
We do too.
It's just
We
crazy.
rip it in half, and we use the backside for taking notes and
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, I mean, all I'm doing is throwing it in the file and throwing it in my file cabinet, so I don't really care what it looks like. you know.
Exactly, yeah.
Crowd up. God, I think all we have to get some rain on here during time. I wonder if, is this storm coming from the north or west or?
It's supposed to rain on us most all day tomorrow.
Gosh.
That's okay.
Ugh.
All right, we'll wait for Neil to get back to finalize that one. I think we're good on that one. All right, Darwin Lou, Blackstone Road. There you go. That's right, they bought Tom Sinnot's house.
Yep.
Okay. Reason for appeal, more than 40% increase in compared to last year. And
Two.
this was the same thing, it was just straight improvement value.
Yeah. No more depreciation. Huh.
Well, since he gave us these cards, we'll just pull these two cards.
Yeah, might as well.
Crystal, can we get, let's see,
I can't picture which ones these are.
26G PCL 4 and 3B, both 19 and current cards. Neil, on Frizell, the last one, with the main parcel with the house, we're going to take both lots, 255, to equal the adjoining parcel.
Cool.
And then on the house, we're going to take the physical from 8 to 20%. And that's it.
Cool.
And then the side parcel, all we're changing is the land.
Beth looked it up. She didn't see anything in the deed that would keep
Perfect.
them from building, so.
Perfect. All right, so now we're on Lou, the ones who bought Tom Sennett's house. And Crystal's pulling the two tax cards that he had listed for similar comps.
Yeah, that's an interesting property.
It was.
You've got the road in between, but his is unusual because the dock and everything is on one side of the road, but he managed to get the house down in that little teeny tiny part where there's some frontage on Moran Creek.
Oh, right here, yeah.
Yeah.
But
So-
his dock's off over here, right?
Yeah, it's like the other houses, like we sold the one next door, the house is built, so your view is out that way, but it's quirky because your views are out the front. Here, but like this little view is not
Nothing big,
great.
yeah.
And it's kind of like wooded and
Yep. It's like he's down in the hole.
low
Almost, yeah.
back in there, like the house kind of, so I don't know, I showed it to a couple of people that were just like, no.
Yeah, it was different.
So I don't know, it's just one of those that's so unusual.
It was a big house.
It's a huge house, so in a way, 1.3 made sense, but I was almost a little bit surprised that it sold.
All right, so he's right here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's
So
the garage.
That's his dock, this is the garage.
You got a
and then-
sand beach, it's an awesome part of the.
But you're saying this is the little limited view he's got right here?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Up
Okay.
Moran Creek. And that's really low.
And you can see the marsh in there.
Yep.
All right there, yeah.
I never, I had somebody I showed it to, and I almost wondered if the house wasn't in the flood zone because of where it is.
Mm.
But you got like a basement.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, like one of those kind of interesting finishings.
Yeah.
In some ways, they're really high-end, but not the way that everybody would do them.
Hadn't closed yet. Ah,
There's a few of those out there. I think Lawrence has like 2 or 3 when I look stuff up that are still pending closing. from-
Yeah, and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm pretty sure that's closed. Yep. Oh, well. This is a little choppy.
It definitely
for
is,
my taste,
was
but, you know,
choppy, like a ton of square footage and lots of different
Yeah.
rooms. Oh, there's the view. Can you go up a little bit? It kind of gives you,
Yeah.
was that the creek view off the back?
yeah,
Okay.
that's Moran Creek back there. It's not terrible, but it's like that one window, because otherwise,
Do you have views off the other side of the river?
no,
No.
because you're down in the hole.
Oh, okay.
You're too
Well, I
far.
guess that's your view.
Okay, I guess maybe from that room, but from the house, you're
Yeah.
not
Gotcha.
seeing that.
A lot of papers in here. 2019 hopefully is on time for both. David, you want to vote on Brazil?
So there's
Yes.
way lower square footage.
On 33-118B, the home site, instead of $320,000, we're making it $255,000.
Okay.
That's it for that one. And on 3318E, same thing with the home site, instead of 320,000, 255.
Okay.
But we're also changing physical depreciation on that one from 8 to 20%.
Okay.
And that's it for those.
All right, so,
What y'all thinking on these for lot 4 and 3B?
oh, that's weird. Wait a minute. No, okay. Hmm. The only thing weird I see is the residual on the other two is 9,000.
And this
Both
one, for
from-
both of them?
Yeah, from
And this one's
19 to
fif-
24, and this is
Fif-
15.
All right, well, that's one change we can make to be equal. How about the home site?
Same,
350?
yeah.
Factor and physical
is
depreciations?
140 and 130. Huh,
On factors?
yeah,
How about depreciations?
6 and 5.
Hmm.
And this one's built in 2004, this was built in 2001. One's GB and one's GA.
This property is just such a singular
Different,
thing.
yeah.
I mean, they bought it for 1.3 when?
2 years ago? No,
Yeah.
August, yeah, 22.
August 22.
Wouldn't there be something there for the lack of view? I mean, I know you got deep water across, but the street part would be a depreciation factor for me.
Yeah, no, it's it should be.
Functional, I guess, or,
It's almost like you have an off-site dock.
yeah.
Right,
It's basically kind of like the Bedford's house in a way.
Yep, and then your view is very limited, so I think there's gotta be some functional, economical for having to cross the street.
right,
To act-
definitely functional, I would say.
Functional?
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think that needs to be? I mean, not everybody's gonna go for
Yeah,
I mean,
walking across the street to get on your dock.
And somewhere close to 1.3, given that they bought it in the middle of 2022,
Price-wise?
is probably at least a decent guidepost.
Yeah.
Certainly, obviously, it shouldn't be lower than that, should potentially be a bit more if we think the market's
Yeah,
continued to come up a bit, but I could definitely see, right, if you do a 10% functional depreciation.
10% functional? Leave physical and factor.
I could see doing the factor back to 150, just because
Yeah.
I think, I mean, it's kind of what we're getting at with doing the
We'll do-
functional
then
depreciation.
Should
but
we adjust physical a little bit since it's
staying the
21-year-old
same.
house? From 8 to maybe 15?
Sure.
Yeah.
All right. Those seem fair with, especially with the neighbors. And we'll change the residual from 15,000 an acre to 9,000.
Right.
All right. All right, Ms. Moenson.
Oh, you gotta tell Crystal.
I've got to wait for Ms. Davis. If I vote without Ms. Davis, she will have me.
I didn't realize she'd
Right.
slipped out.
RJ,
Yeah,
we got to be careful of her.
I'd say you better wait.
Yeah, yeah. All right, Susan Mowenson, guess we'll do the main house first, 2974J. Flowering field. You know what, on that lot, her only problem was with correcting the acreage.
You want me to run that back to?
Is Beth back there?
Yeah.
I'm just gonna hand it to her so that we can say we're done with that part.
His neighbors, they tried to vote without you, but I told them they better wait.
What about the other two?
That's why I told them, y'all
They're
gotta wait.
running. They're running because they got scared.
Oh,
No, we're kidding.
which one we looking at now?
We're on Moenson's.
Once. Oh, yeah, I know. She's at the post office. I mean, her office.
Crystal, who are you going to get copies of cards? I want to get one of mine and my neighbors. No, don't make a special trip.
That's all right, it might be
Can I get ours, our new one and our old one, and then our brand new neighbor behind us is Keeves, Keeve.
You don't draw, taxes for
You would think I would, but I don't. Ours is 380 Nugent.
On this one,
keys.
I'm gonna change this to match the neighbors.
Okay,
They just
Change these
built.
few things. You good with that?
good.
All right. You ready, Crystal? For the Lose 26G
Oh, that lady.
PCL 3D. Residual land, we're changing from 15,000 an acre to 9,000 an acre. Changing the factor from 155 to 150. Physical depreciation from 8 to 15. And we're adding 10% functional depreciation.
Physical depreciation is 15.
Yes? And function,
Land, 9,000 acre, factor 150, functional depreciation.
10%. Mm-hmm. All right, Susan Mowenson. Y'all got it figured out, right?
Yeah,
All gone?
yeah. all
Good.
done.
What did we decide on?
It's time to go. It's
What
time to
did we
leave.
decide on?
Yeah,
Let's just hit her depreciation up. That's what she was angling for, I think. Right? Because it needs a lot of work.
Yes.
Yes.
Wait a minute, which one
So-
is this? J or A? Which-
This is Jay.
J.
Yeah, the lot, she's changing the acreage.
Did Beth say she's gonna change the neighbors?
She said since it was recorded, it was just recorded February. Once it comes to her desk, she's got to change it automatically. So yeah, she's taking care of that. Yeah.
Going, they didn't change the depreciation at all.
Yeah, it's pretty surprising, you know, again, just how weird it is, the way that the assessor does it. You know, I mean, she's getting the same price per square foot as the waterfront house
What is
does,
going on?
because of the way that they separate it into the different parts.
no.
Yeah, it went up $100 a square foot. But yet, her factor and physical stayed the same.
Yeah,
You see the age of the house?
1,700.
It says old. It's a 1700.
We don't,
So.
So you gotta go back and get old figures.
Yeah. I mean, that tells us that we got some depreciation there.
No updates. Okay.
No.
It's crazy that the factor's 115. It seems like there's some, obviously Amen had 180, like 185. So
Yeah.
there must be something about these historical, I've not driven into there in such a long time. I can't think of like what it is about this, kind of the setting that would make them think. I mean, the bed and breakfast aspect of it isn't anything that we consider. Just
No.
value it like a home. I think getting 570 for a 1700
That record.
house that,
Yeah, it shows two separate parcels, waterfront parcels, separate.
Needs work.
Mm-hmm.
do 50%
Physical?
physical.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Certainly, yeah.
at least, you wanna go higher?
What does that get you? I feel like the factor should be,
Lower than 115?
yeah, I don't know exactly what the rationale would be, but I think kind of for the vast majority of, I'm trying to think of, I mean, like, driving into there, it's not like, you know, talking about Cross Hills and Heatsville, like, you really do kind of have this
Yep.
historic kind of setting with
Yeah, this is very residential, just,
just kind of like a normal
Farmland, yeah.
Yeah.
house that happens to be quite old. If you took the factor to 100, that would take 100,000 off, right? You would go to 688. That gets you to 469. Which is getting somewhat close.
if we did factor to 100 and physical at 50? Neil?
Yeah, that's, I mean, you're going back pretty far if you do both of those things, I guess, because you're almost taking 30% off. That doesn't take you down below the old one, does it? I think factor 100 and physical 40.
I mean, do y'all have pushbacks whenever you go to a house that has oil heat?
It's definitely not as desirable, yeah.
I can only imagine, because I know.
Well, it's usually kind of a twofold thing, right? I mean, houses that have oil heat also, they typically have they're from a certain era. and-
Right.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, people want heat pumps and.
Yeah,
The one that Susan was talking about that sold in Wacomico Church, the guy had a hard time finding insurance just because of the oil tank.
Mm-hmm.
really?
Yeah, I'm like, that's crazy.
Was
and
it
then I
above
called
ground, or it was in ground?
In ground.
Oh.
In ground underneath the house.
Oh, well, yeah.
That
I
people
did
didn't know that it was underneath the house when he was trying to get quotes. But
Oh, jeez.
685, 786. 45%.
I would get that underground. I know when my mom had oil and it leaked. It was not good. Thank you so much. Awesome, thank you.
If you go 100 on your factor and 40% on depreciation, it puts you around 468,000 total, 468.7.
And I also ran it at 45% physical depreciation, that gets us to 435.
45 sounds good.
Everybody good with that?
Yep.
All right, Crystal, 29-74J. Factor down from 115 to 100. And physical depreciation from 35 to 45%. Stan Lawrence. just looking at one parcel here from him.
No,
No.
he's at the parcel that was subdivided that
That's
had him
right.
kind of vexed because the value on that was way higher than the leftover parcel,
That's right.
and then his house.
Well, we know for a fact they went to his house.
Or didn't, wait, yeah, they went to his house, not into it.
Went to it, they wouldn't go in it,
Nope.
even though he invited them. Okay, this goes
Oh, yeah, and that one parcel was wonky. The one that was right next to the other had never been assessed or whatever it was. Let's see. Yeah, Y and U6.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting that his didn't go up much between 13 and 19, where there was quite a few properties in like Whitestone and Irvington and stuff that jumped up. His didn't go too crazy, but they got him this time.
Yeah.
So the two parcels, that's easy. Knock that one out.
All right, let's do those two.
Right, just make it the old
Yeah,
value.
Which tax map parcel was that?
so the one we need to change is the 158U6.
To change it to,
That, I guess you want to change it to the other type, home site C335,
okay,
which is 35,000.
perfect.
And 35,000.
Yep.
So then we're not doing anything with Y then? Okay. All right, Crystal, on 35, 158Y.
Missing a crystal.
Oh, sorry.
Hold it.
Hold the phone.
Wait a minute.
She's back there having lunch with Beth.
I can't believe you confused Glenn for Crystal.
Glenn was ready to take notes, wasn't he? All right, Crystal.
Yes, sir.
35, 158Y,
Okay.
no change. 35, 158U6, the home site, changing the class to 335. So it's gonna be home site C335, that's 35,000 for the acre.
All right, so home site class to C355.
335,
I'm sorry, that's what I wrote.
yep,
I'm right there.
at 35,000.
At 35,000
Yep.
acre or?
For that site, and that'll change when Beth puts that code in. All right, so those two are done. So now we got just the home.
In the scheme of things, 41% isn't,
Factor stayed the same, 155. And the depreciation went up 7%. Had a bunch of,
can you see a picture on Vominet? Do you know
he's
the
got-
house?
He's got no depreciation on any of the, external sheds or anything. And I don't know. You wanna look at, Google Earth?
Yeah, do you know this property?
I haven't been in it, no.
Where was the property he had that he sold? Wasn't it close to this?
The Farriers?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Is that it there?
right here. Yeah.
That doesn't seem like 1.6 would be a stretch just from looking at that. Goodness, that's gorgeous.
He, let's see, Jan. I think right here. Yeah, this is where his other property was, right here. On Farriers,
Oh, my God.
and these are his horse farms right here.
Wow.
So he sold this parcel, and then this parcel he sold. Yeah, he's right there at, the Marquette's house was right here,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
point, so that's a beautiful spot right there.
Man.
A 204-year-old house with 32% depreciation.
You did say there was a lot of additions.
Yeah,
But yeah, the no depreciation on
any of the
any of the other stuff is unusual. I don't know if you just go 15 across the board since you don't really know the age of everything. I guess generally generators, riprap don't get depreciation.
It's at 439,112 times 15%, 65,866. That would, if we do it 15% for each of them, it'd take off 65,000.
There should be something there, so I'm fine with that. I don't know exactly what it should be, but there should be something. Well, they weren't on the last ones either, but most properties that we look at have depreciations for
Yep.
barns
Do
and,
we want to change the physical depreciation a little bit from 32?
you know, we've been.
204-year-old house?
You know, I don't know. I think
35?
35, sure.
35? Everybody good on those?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
All right, Crystal. 35, 130A, physical depreciation from 32 to 35. And hang on one second.
Condition key, class
You know what? I'm guessing this is a field sheet.
Yeah.
We took off some stuff, lost building a tornado. So 323,108. But on here, he's got 439,112, which was the old one.
Oh. Oh, wow. Okay.
I do remember him having
Y'all see that?
tornado.
On this parcel, there's two other improvement and building addition sheets, two cards. One card's got blue writing is checked on and marked up. At the bottom, he's got a note that says, 2 more pilings and then lost some buildings in tornado. So the total value there off that sheet's 323,108. But if you look at his current tax card, down under other improvements or total improvements, it's got 439,112, which is the original one. So I think that needs to be corrected with the field assessor's card, 323,108, but then given 15% depreciation off of them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, Because,
I mean, some of those things aren't there anymore.
yeah. so
Did he
this-
take them off pole shed? Right, because the reason that the number's higher is because the rates went up for these things, right?
Oh, you said lost some buildings.
Went from rate of pier, rate of 20 to rate of 25, pier L head. So only two things that he took off, right, were the pole shed and the, whatever an MHCP is.
You're right, Neil.
And then the,
So it should be that 439 number, but then with the depreciation
15%.
from that.
Yep.
Got it. You're right.
on the size of the pier, oh, they increased that, yeah.
Yeah.
5 by
There you go, Crystal.
164.
I'll just hand you this one. Because it's this whole sheet would just add 15%.
Oh, they changed it to running shares with 3. Leave 1.
And the total appreciation
From 32 to 35, yeah.
for the home.
Yes. All right. We good on one more, guys?
Mr. Dutton,
Yes.
we were almost done with this one, right? Anyway,
We were very close to it. We were already looking at the Belle Isle card.
Big thing, we just realized that it's not on the water. I had not, I was
That's
confused on
right.
that because of how we started off with the tax card and the,
yep.
uh,
Yep.
See, he does have depreciation for all his.
Yeah, he
So-
does.
yeah, most people, it's a little bit random. You don't always catch it, but
Yeah.
every so often, for some reason, they don't depreciate anything and that's the kind of-
Okay. Oh,
Is there anything on the Bamanet for a picture of this one? That shit's pretty. That's not right.
That's not right.
20.
That's not his.
Constructed in 1735 by George
Yeah.
Washington.
That's definitely not his.
They say George Washington was ahead of his time compared to George Washington, or compared to Thomas Jefferson in terms of. Somebody uploaded the wrong photo. All right. Oh, LLC. Gotcha.
Brad did with his other card.
Yeah, it doesn't matter too much. Let's get this thing over with. Right,
Yeah,
the factor didn't
Can't
change,
find it
right?
on there.
146.
Oh, do you have the old tax card?
That's what I was looking for.
146A.
Can we get the field sheet for that one? I don't think we got it. I think this is where we had the waterfront parcel pulled up. And then you
Oh,
got,
it said not on file. Oh, okay. All right.
I don't think we got that.
So we got the one for,
We had all the stuff for the land, because that's what he had written in for, but that's not what he was arguing, so then,
but then she got us the one for,
Belle Isle.
Belle Isle, but I can't find the other one for Mr. Dutton.
here's the. It's having people bump the mic like a pet peeve. You have to hear that noise all the time, being in all these meetings with people.
Do you need this?
What is that?
That's the one we're looking on.
I've got it.
So what are you gonna do with all of your free time since we don't have another one of these things for 3 weeks?
I got a list of things waiting for me,
Yeah, I bet.
I'm sure you do. That's funny, I could have sworn Crystal got us that, but I didn't put my hands on it.
Oh, yeah, Maybe the physical was 20 and then it went to 30, right?
Yeah,
Maybe she just oh wait, maybe this is it.
okay.
Didn't get the field sheet, but maybe that's the old one and she just gave me one copy of it. And
Okay.
we were talking about it and then got
Okay,
interrupted by somebody. That's right, the factor was the same, the depreciation went from 20 to 30.
yes, correct.
So I guess it's just really
Different flavors in there.
bumping up that depreciation.
Yeah, so Belle Isle's factor was 165, and the newest depreciation on Belle Isle is 80%.
I mean, I feel like his should be higher than it was last time, but somewhere between last time and where it is now. I could see where maybe Belle Isle's depreciation is higher based on its condition. Or as I imagine, he probably keeps that place as,
So we take his factor down somewhere between Belle Isle and his now?
There's not one marked up in the file. Beth printed
Okay.
off a clean copy, but there's not one in the file.
no field data sheet, okay.
Okey-doke.
So Belle Isle's at a factor of 165 now,
Yes,
and we're at 185 on this one.
yes.
And what was it previously?
185, sorry, it's been 185.
Yeah.
So we
Factor
could just
160.
jack the physical depreciation up.
From 30 to,
I don't know if you go to 50 and see what the number looks like, or if you go up to 60. And it was only 20 on the last one.
Right,
So should the total value be somewhere close to, again, I don't know, singular property, somewhere in between? It is odd, all of a sudden, some of these older buildings, even off-water, are selling, whereas I kind of feel like in 2018, it would have been really hard to find somebody to buy it. Or we just go to 80% to make, well, right, Susan's was, what do we do for Susan's? Her house is of a similar vintage. But we lowered her factor, so we kind of,
what,
Depreciation 45% for Susan.
but we lowered her factor, so factor to 165 and,
we lowered her factor to 100, didn't we?
yeah. So lower the
So a
factor to
factor of
160.
165, and then up the
Physical.
physical to,
50? See what that does?
let's see what that does. 722, 331.
I don't have the sheets.
To me, that gets him from 913.4 to 601.050.
That seemed a little low. That's lower than he was before, right?
He was 605, 700 the last time, 2019.
That's taken him almost all the way back. That was with 50% depreciation?
Yes.
So just go 40% on the
Yeah,
depreciation?
40, yeah,
Call it a day?
yep. So,
Kind of feel like in 2019 would have been kind of hard to get 600 and something for a
Yeah.
300-year-old house. Still don't understand where these people are coming from exactly, but all of a sudden people are buying 300-year-old houses.
so is everybody good on this one to go factor down to 165 and physical depreciation from 30 to 40?
Yep,
Yes.
yep.
All right. Crystal, we're, last one, Mr. Dutton, 26, 146.
Yes.
I'm sorry, this is 2165A. That's right. 2165A, we're going factor down from 185 to 165. And physical depreciation from 30 to 40%. Yep.
Did we get them all?
That's them all, I believe.
We should schedule a special meeting in November to tackle the green.
We did 25 today.
Damn.
25 orders.
I'm getting good at this.
That's pretty good with all the hearings, too.
As long as we keep them at the podium, we don't run over too much.